We are live at Urie's Waterfront in Wildwood. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill today as the Phillies finish up their series with the Baltimore Orioles. Right now, not looking too great. 4-1 is the score. The Orioles do lead it at the moment. It is right now the bottom of the fifth, heading into the sixth. We'll keep you updated with the game going along. But everybody, I'm Nick Earnshaw, filling in for Mike today, alongside Kevin Durso, joining for the full 4 hours, I'm assuming, right? It's all four?
Yeah.
Love it. We're going to have some fun today. Pete Pete G in the building.
What's up, Nuggets?
Pete G, it's been a while.
Since New Orleans, probably.
No, was it that long ago?
I think so.
Man, that's
And guess what? The Eagles are back tomorrow night.
Eagles are back. Football's back. We'll get into the Eagles later on today. We have a great show lined up. We're going to talk everything Philly sports, specifically the Phillies. We'll get into that as well. We have some great guests. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City will join us at 2:30 today, as he does every single Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Jeff Mosher, he'll be joining us today for Football at 4. And at 5:30, we will talk with Ty Daubert from Phillies Nation. We'll talk about today's game. We'll talk about everything going on with the Philadelphia Phillies. So a fun show lined up. And, last night, a lot of storylines, to say the least here. Max Kepler is the biggest one that came from last night. Started the game. People have been upset with Max Kepler, the way he's performed this year. He signed that contract worth $10 million in the offseason, just has not produced the way you thought he would. And listen, I was somebody who was against the signing from the start. He's a left-handed bat. They did not need another left-handed bat. They go out and sign him. Last night, he had a big night. I'll give it to him. Okay, he had a home run, his first double since June 13th overall. Crazy. Hasn't had a double in about 2 months. So he has a home run, he has a double, and has a big night. So, everything going on with the outfield, it's been fascinating. The Justin Crawford situation, they have to wait till August 15th so they get the extra year with him of service time, okay? There's that aspect. They trade for Harrison Bader. People want to see Bader. Bader gets benched after hitting a home run just a couple of nights ago. So the outfield situation, it's still a fascinating one and a little bit of a confusing one for most people. So, with that, our text board question at 609-403-0973 is, what should the starting outfield look like? Just what should it look like? What is the ideal starting outfield for you? If you were the manager or Dave Dombrowski, what does that look like? Is it Brandon Marsh in left, full-time? Is it Harrison Bader in center, or is it vice versa? What do you want the outfield to look like? Are you for platoons? Are you against platoons? Text in 609-403-0973. And when you do text in, we're filling in for Mike Gill today. He is away. He's a big world traveler now, supposedly.
Is he away?
Yeah, he's
I
away.
couldn't tell from Instagram or social media. He's got pictures blasted all over the place. Yeah.
But he's a big world traveler now, PG.
I know he is, man.
Listen, he's all over the world. Where's he going? To Prague? I don't even know what.
He's in Portugal right now.
Portugal. Yeah. I can't keep up with
I guess
this guy.
He's going to Prague.
Prague is one of them.
Or something. Yeah.
With that, when you text in your question, what should the starting outfield look like at 609-403-0973, it's a world traveler Gill-inspired question. Where in the world would you want to visit? Let us know. Add that to your text, 609-403-0973. What should the starting outfield look like, and where in the world would you want to visit? Durso, I know you've been chomping at the bit for this.
Yeah, what you got for us, Durso?
A shocking one for me, given what I do around here typically.
Where are you going? Cape May, Avalon?
No, it's.
Okay.
I need to do the Canadian tour.
Wow. The guy,
You know what?
hockey guy
I've never
needs
been
to go
Canada.
to Canada.
I need to get there. I need to cover a couple games up there potentially. I need to be in these buildings with people who are just as crazy about the sport as I am.
Very on brand.
I love
that.
that.
Hockey guy wants to go to Canada.
PG, anywhere in the world.
I want to go to Tokyo.
Okay.
I want to go to Japan, have some sushi there. I'm a big sushi guy, big Asian-inspired food guy. So, yeah, I'm going Tokyo, Japan.
I like it. All right. I want to travel at least to England and Europe. Italy. Okay. I'm English. I'm not Italian, but just do the European tour.
Yeah, I got you.
You had your chance last year with the Phillies and the Mets.
I know. Where you want to go. go and travel in the world with your question, and I'm going to pose it to you guys as well. What should the outfield look like? Now, Max Kepler last night, listen, had a big, big night. Can't take that away from him. I still don't think he should be in the starting lineup. It'd be nice if he was coming off the bench as a left-handed power bat, could give you a little bit of power off the bench. That would be the most ideal situation in my estimation. I think you should start Harrison Bader in center field every day. I don't feel bad for Max Kepler. I think you should platoon when Bohm comes back left field. Marsh and Otto Kemp, lefty and righty. That's what I would do in the outfield. So text in 609-403-0973. What does the outfield look like to you? Durso, I don't know if you agree with me. In starting Bader every day and having Marsh and Otto Kemp, what does your outfield look like right now?
I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm getting tempted to start Marsh every day in left and Bader in center until you make a decision on Crawford, because Marsh has been hitting that well. I'm kind of with you until Crawford's part of this picture, because once Crawford's in the picture, he's every day. It's got to be. And then after that, if you want to platoon, let's say they decide Crawford's left field, then you platoon Bader and Marsh in center field because that's what you want to go with. I'm with you for right now, though. Like, especially while you've got time, while you're trying to wait for this deadline that you've got, knowing that it would carry over that extra year, that rookie status for Crawford, play Bader every day so you can see whether or not he even can handle it.
Yeah, I'm in the camp of Bader has to play every day, okay?
Now, with that said, though, Bader has not been very impressive.
Yeah, it's been a couple games.
I know, but he did have that homer, but
he did. He struck it out a couple of times.
It's not like we're watching Barry Bonds at the plate.
No. But he's still a very good defender. I would rather have him. And it's not to take away from the defense of Brandon Marsh and Max Kepler. They're very good outfielders,
He is a fresh face.
But
You're not
Bader,
staring at Max Kepler every game.
I would prefer he's hit well against righties. He actually hits better against righties than he actually does lefties, statistically. So I would start Bader in center field. I think you went out and got a guy to start, put him there. And I know Rob Thompson. Listen. He wants to make promises. He said to Max Kepler, they promised they're going to platoon at least the first 6 games after the trade deadline, and he lived up to his promise. And Rob Thompson looked like a smart manager last night, the way Max Kepler played.
He did, but we are in the middle of a pennant race.
We are in the middle of a pennant race.
I do not like manipulating service time in the middle of a pennant race, but I see what they mean with Crawford waiting until the 15th. You get an extra year. You get the Rookie of the Year, all that jazz next year. But with that said, Kepler, to me, the writing is on the wall. Right?
It is.
I mean, he's at some point, you're going to have to just cut bait with him. And Marsh is playing too well right now to not play him every day. So I'm going to go Marsh, Bader, and Casty.
Yeah. Marsh, Bader, and Casty.
And so Crawford on the bench.
Are
not
you
playing
starting?
Every day
are you starting him every single day though? Brandon Marsh. Are you starting? I'm fine with him against righties. Against lefties, where I have a little bit of an issue.
I think at this point, and there's a catch at the wall there. Not hit hard enough. But I think with what I saw last night from Marsh, it's going to be pretty hard to take him out of the lineup.
Yeah, I think so. 609-403-0973. Jump in. What does the Phillies outfield look like to you? Let us know what it is, and give us where you want to travel as well. Mike Gill's world traveler now, renowned world traveler, I think, in these parts at this point.
Yeah.
So add that to your text. I just think with the overall outfield, you go out and get a guy like Bader, okay? You should start him every day. Crawford, it's very interesting. I'm excited to talk about that later with Ty as well as Mike McGarry, just regarding the whole Justin Crawford situation. Because, listen, he's been tearing it up, and he had a bad play last night with Painter, the whole thing. But it's okay. He's been very good in AAA. I think when you bring
that's
him
a whole
up,
other story, by the way.
Yeah.
Painter and what?
Painter's not coming up this year. I think that's clear.
I think I'm on board with.
I would be in agreement with that as well.
Yeah, I think with Justin Crawford, he is a guy you do not. I can't trust him yet. He's just been in AAA. AAA pitching, I don't trust as much heading to the big leagues. And you're in the middle of a pennant race, like you mentioned, Pete. You can't just throw a rookie out there every single day. That can't happen. I understand people want to bring up Justin Crawford, the whole thing, and I know that could be part of the plan. But I think you have guys on your roster, whether it's Bader, Marsh, Kemp. I think those are the 3 you stick with this season. That is, I think, the most ideal scenario. Kepler just has not been good enough. I'm happy for the guy. He was great last night. He's not in the lineup today. Phillies are up right now 4-1.
Down 4.
Down 4-1, excuse me.
Well, back to Kepler, though. I mean, it just wasn't a good fit, right? I mean, from the get-go.
It's a lefty.
it really just wasn't a good fit. You can tell that he is an honest guy. He overthinks a lot, and it's probably really affected his swing and everything else from when he first got here. But with that said, is it time to cut bait with him? Or because he's a veteran, because like you said, he brings that pop that you really don't have much else aside from Harper and Schwarber, obviously, but is he a guy that you do keep on the roster for the playoffs?
Yeah, and
we'll play late September.
And we'll play some of the audio from Kepler last night because some of the interviews, whether it was post-game with T-Mac and Kruk, as well as the media gaggle after the game, he made some interesting comments overall about the fans.
I like that.
Like that word?
Good use
it's a good
of that
word.
word, gaggle.
Good word.
It's a good word, right? 609-403-0973 is how you jump into the conversation regarding the Phillies outfield. I think that is a massive, massive concern heading into this postseason, right? And we also got another story that we got to get out there, right? That came out. All the beat reporters were putting it out today regarding Zach Wheeler. So it comes out that Zach Wheeler is being bumped back 2 days from his original start. He will now pitch on Sunday. According to Rob Thompson, he complained of some shoulder stiffness. They sent him for an MRI. It was clean, and Wheeler played catch today. So that's another little wrinkle into the pennant race that we are now in, heading into September, right? It's August now. We're getting close to that time of the year. Red October is right around the corner. Zach Wheeler a little banged up, and he didn't look right in his last couple of starts. He just didn't seem like he had his best stuff, especially in his last start. I think that's a good idea to push him back. Good thing. Gladly everything went well and was clean in the MRI, according to the Phillies and Rob Thompson. So that's where we're at with Zach Wheeler.
Let me ask you this, both you guys. Can this rotation withstand a loss of Zach Wheeler? Like it makes you think, like, wow, we are one shoulder injury away.
It would hurt. I think they could get by without Zach Wheeler.
Right.
But you need him at the top. And, we can play some of the audio. I think Josh has it back at the studio of Rob Thompson earlier talking about Zach Wheeler and what he was going through and the MRI and why they're pushing back the start. Take a listen.
Wheeler came out of his last start a little sore, more sore than he normally is. So we got an image done. It's clean. We're just going to give him a couple extra days. So it's going to be Sanchi on Friday, Luzardo on Saturday, and Wheeler on Sunday.
Where is he feeling?
In the shoulder.
Okay. Are you concerned about that?
No.
Why
Image
not?
was clean.
Okay.
So there you have it. Rob Thompson giving the update on Zach Wheeler today. That was some of the big news that came out prior to today's game. They are down 4-1 to the Baltimore Orioles, and Sosa's a little banged up right now. So we got to keep this team healthy, Durso.
Exactly. I'd be handling Wheeler with kid gloves right now. I mean, seriously,
I agree with you.
You need to be protective of this guy. Make sure that this is good to go all the way through because, he has the complete game start that he did against Cincinnati, and all of a sudden, as the month progresses, good, start that was good enough against Boston to get the win. He didn't get the decision out of it, but they win the game, and that's the same week that Sanchez throws a complete game, and you're like, I even tweeted afterwards.
Yeah.
That's your 1-2 in the postseason. If there's any sign of anything going wrong with this guy in any way, and especially with his health, that's the answer. You've got to take that. You've got to take extreme caution with the guy that you've been calling your ace for the last 4 postseasons.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Wheeler is your horse. He's the top of the rotation guy. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. You want to utilize him in the best case scenario. You want him to be in great health heading into the postseason. That can't happen.
And this is what happened last year to an extent. These guys broke down by the time October came around.
And they fell apart against the New York Mets, which that can't happen again. We can't go against wine and cheese fan bases and have the Philadelphia Phillies fall apart. It can't happen. All right, 609-403-0973. At the top of the show, we did ask you our question of the day. What should the starting outfield look like for the Philadelphia Phillies going forward? And also add where you'd want to visit in the world. That's because, filling in for Mike Gill today, he's a world traveler. We want to know that as well. Terry and Galloway chiming in. He says you got to go Marsh, Rojas, Castellanos.
Rojas.
Now, is Rojas the guy that kind of was the odd man out here, or do you think they kind of did him a little dirty at this point, Durso? I mean, I like Rojas. He just can't hit. He cannot hit consistently.
I was surprised it was him over Weston Wilson, I'll say. That much surprised me a little bit. I kind of thought that after, I know he had the option available, but at the same time, it feels like they were keeping Wilson up kind of for I guess because his bat's better, but I haven't really seen that much also either.
Well, I think when Bohm comes back, Weston Wilson will be optioned.
I agree with you there.
Kemp will be the right-handed bat, and in left field, it'll be Marsh, Kemp. I'm just curious to how the Crawford situation plays out.
Sure,
That's where I'm at.
And you got to stick with Kemp because I was looking that up at one point. Kemp's numbers have been, last night aside, significantly better than Kepler's, and it doesn't feel like that all the time. I feel like that's a guy who's kind of been destined to have that grace period run out where guys don't really, pitchers don't know you after your initial call up. He's been holding his own well enough that you've got to keep giving him a shot because he's given you key moments in the game.
Yeah, and listen, Otto Kemp, he has something called the clutch gene. He comes up with a big hit when you need it. And
I would like to see that guy in late September, October.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind that guy coming off the bench, or if he gets a start in the postseason. He's come up with some big hits and big moments, and that's been a problem for the Phillies in the past and at times this year. Timely hitting. You need guys to hit in big spots. So, we talk about it all the time. We get frustrated. Bases loaded, guys and runners in scoring position, right? So that is part of it, too. And you can have that guy on your team as Weston Wilson. Your boy, Kevin Durso, gets a base hit with Kemp on second. So runners on first and second.
Where were you when Weston Wilson hit for the cycle? I'll tell you where I was. In the ballpark.
In the ballpark. We love it. All right, Chris in Millville, he chimes in. He says an outfield without Castellanos would be nice. He wants to go to Alaska. That would be his
that's a good one.
spot.
That's a good one.
They do the tours out there.
I thought for a second he was saying ship Castellanos to Alaska. That's a little different.
Well, he might want to ship Castellanos to Alaska.
I mean, as far as Castellanos is concerned,
His contract's done next year. He's off the books after 2026.
After next year.
Yep.
After 2026.
Yep.
So I think you're probably going to see him in trade rumors again in the offseason, which is fine with me.
I don't mind. He's just been so underwhelming. All right, great. He hits a lot of singles. You signed him to be the right-handed
power. He also hits a lot of grounders to short as well.
Uh-huh.
And he, chases the
Chases
outside
a lot of
slider.
low and outside pitches.
Low and away. That is everybody in Philadelphia in this area knows that is the pitch that will get Castellanos every time. 609-403-0973 is the text score. We have Jeff in Ocean City chiming in. He wants to go Marsh and Bader in left, Crawford every day in center, and Casti in right. And he's going to Aruba, been to Paris and London. That's Jeff in Ocean City.
And that, to me, is the outfield that I would be going with. Something of that effect if you decide Crawford's coming up and playing one of the two positions. I really don't care which one it is. If you decide Crawford's a center fielder, he's your center fielder every day, and the other two are playing in the left or vice versa. But
yeah, here's the thing. Crawford, I really wanted to see him earlier on in the season, right? If they brought him in as the Phillies go down in the sixth, so Marchand grounds out for the final out of the inning, he'll go to the top of the seventh. I think with Crawford, here's the thing. He just hasn't been up here yet. He hasn't been in the major leagues. He hasn't seen major league pitching. It's a lot to ask of a rookie, especially in a pennant race in August and September. Yeah, you're going to play every single day, and we're going to trust you to be a decent bat at the bottom of the lineup. I mean, is that ideal at this point?
Mike makes this point all the time, and I agree with him. If Crawford was your answer, he'd be up here in May.
Yeah.
I mean, where has he been? Why haven't the Phillies called upon him to help fix their outfield problems? The
only answer I can think of from that is to justify the $10 million you're giving Kepler. You don't want to admit the mistake that early.
But now that $10 million bucks is like $4 million.
And the problem I have with that is that if you're so set on keeping Crawford through another trade deadline and therefore into another postseason run, to me he needs to be potentially helping your team. That's the message I'm getting.
Because
that's a
he's
great
here for
point.
a reason.
You could have probably I don't know this to be true, but Suarez from the Diamondbacks, he was available.
Yeah.
Could you have included Crawford or Painter? I mean, he's struggling right now.
They didn't want to give up their top three prospects.
Right.
That was the thing. Dombrowski was keen on keeping Painter, Miller, and Crawford. They want to keep those guys
Which is fine,
to be the next
but
core.
those guys have to produce.
They have to produce.
And
That's
Painter cannot be giving up 4 earned runs in the first inning against who would they play? Scranton?
Yeah.
Somebody last
Something
night?
like
Yeah.
It can't happen.
And there's-
609-403-0973 is the text board. And if you look at the lineup today, which the Phillies lineup today is brought to you by Instant Services, South Jersey's premier HVAC, plumbing, and electrical services provider. Go to instantservices.com to learn about their preventative maintenance memberships and how they keep your systems running strong year-round. Today's lineup, it was Trey Turner leading off, Kyle Schwarber batting second, Harper third, Castellanos in the cleanup spot batting fourth, Bader in center batting fifth, Kemp sixth at third, Sosa batting seventh, playing second, Wilson eighth, and then Marchand catching behind the dish, rounding it out. That bottom half of the lineup, that's not a championship lineup, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, I know Alec Boehm's out, but the bottom lineup, they were great last night. Today, not so much. You've only mustered across one run total just in the ballgame.
I mean, they've gotten hits, but look, I don't know about you guys, and it's not to knock the guy, but every time I feel like Marchand gets a start, and it has nothing like I'm not trying to defend JT Realmuto as like the batting title champion here or something like that, but it just feels like it totally changes the way that lineup looks, and it makes it really kind of easy to roll over that bottom three, and then it really puts everything on that. That's the thing about the Kepler thing from last night is, okay, great game from him. You need those guys, him, Marsh, Sosa, Stott, guys like that who are coming through sometimes when your Turners and Schwarbers and Harpers aren't the ones getting it done. The thing with Kepler at this point, for me anyway, is that, maybe there's a place for a guy like that on the team in 2008 in the playoffs when you can just throw him in, I need a big hit potentially. Not in 2025.
Can Max Kepler be the Jeff Jenkins of this year's team? Can
that's
that
a good
happen?
name.
That'd be nice.
Could throw that
It'd be
name.
nice.
I was more alluding to a Matt Stairs type.
Matt Stairs. 609-403-0973. We are live at Urie's in Wildwood for a Phillies watch party. I mean, all day they got 50-cent wings, half-price pizzas, $5 drafts, dollar dogs. Get it all down here at Urie's. Come hang out with us as the Phillies round out this 12:35 game. I'm Nick Earnshaw, filling in for Mike Gill today here on the Sports Bash. We'll be right back. Mike McGarry on the other side. And we are back live from Urie's in Wildwood for a Phillies watch party. Phillies in the top of the 7th, 5-1 lead. Baltimore is leading it at the moment. Listen, not a great day for Ranger Suarez. He gets pulled. He's out of the game. He goes today 6 1/3, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, and a home run. Not a great day for Ranger Suarez, to say the least, and we'll talk about it right now with Press Atlantic City's Mike McGarry joining us here on the Sports Bash. You can follow him at AC Press McGarry on the Twitter X platform. Mike, thanks so much for taking a couple minutes today. I'm doing good, Mike. Now, Mike, are you down at the ballpark today, or are you roaming around South Jersey? Where are you at today? I love it. All right, so, Mike, Ranger Suarez, as I mentioned, only goes 6 1/3 today, gives up the 5 earned runs. Talk to me about why he struggled throughout today's ballgame. Yeah, Phillies down 5-1 to the Baltimore Orioles today. But, Mike, last night was the big story in Max Kepler, him having the big night. Talk to me about this outfield situation. It's very perplexing, especially because they're probably not going to bring Justin Crawford up until the 15th, which would be the day because of the service time, the whole shebang. Talk to me about Max Kepler and what he went through last night, having the big night. Talk to me about this outfield situation and what Rob Thompson is planning on doing, with his promises.
Hey, Mike. The Phillies said earlier today they were talking about Zach Wheeler being pushed back a couple days. He had an MRI done. It came back clean. This team's going to make the playoffs for sure, but how important is it for them to make sure Wheeler's health is prioritized maybe more than the pursuit of a Cy Young, for example?
As Trey Turner just rips a double. He's now been on base all 4 times today, Mike. But I wanted to tie up some loose ends with you here. Aaron Nola, 3 guys, Aaron Nola, Alec Boehm, and Jose Alvarado. What's the timeline of those three guys? I know we're going to see some Lehigh Valley starts for Nola tonight, but what's the timeline of those three guys here joining the big club? Kyle Schwarber, Mike, what we saw from him the other night, 6 RBIs, the Grand Slam, MVP pace right now. What kind of a tear is Kyle Schwarber on right now? Oh, there you go.
We're talking to Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, Jose Alvarado, he comes out with a social media statement, becoming reinstated after the PED suspension. Yesterday he talked to the media. What does his role look like when he rejoins the team? He's not going to be able to pitch in the postseason. Are they just going to use him to lead into Joan Duran in big situations and just utilize him as much as they can? What does his role look like when he returns? Yeah, the musical chairs of the bullpen have been fascinating. And another guy that's been down in the minors is David Robertson. Is there a timetable? Do you get a sense of when they will bring him up? And is he going to pitch meaningful innings for this team? Do you think they trust him to pitch meaningful innings for this team?
Mike, going off of that pretty much going off of that point with Strom and Kirkring in particular, when you have a guy like Duran in the bullpen who takes over that ninth inning role, they haven't had a guy like that in a little while, definitely in the last couple of postseason runs. So having a guy like that, what does it do for those two in particular?
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Mike, thanks so much for taking some time. I know you're at the game right now down at the ballpark. Trey Turner, by the way, has 3 hits today, and he's a home run away from the cycle. Still hasn't had that CBP home run. Maybe you'll get to see it in the last couple of innings. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. All right, there's
Thanks,
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. A lot of interesting points there, and I think the bullpen is such a fascinating conundrum. I know they have Duran now, and he's kind of locked down, the whole thing, right? But the Robertson angle, the Alvarado angle, no postseason. How are they going to manage that? I'm curious to see how Rob Thompson does when Robertson comes in, as well as Jose Alvarado. All right. We're going to take a quick step off here on the Sports Bash. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill alongside Kevin Durso as well as Pete G. We'll be right back on the other side. I'm going to talk a little bit about that Wheeler injury once more. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. We're live from Urie's in Wildwood. Welcome back in. We are live at Urie's in Wildwood. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill today alongside Kevin Durso and Pete G on site producing. Josh Henning back at the studio. We also have Alex. He's training back there as well. So a full crew today to fill in for world traveler Mike Gill as he is on vacation at the moment. I want to remind people that, football season's right here, okay? We're at Urie's in Wildwood, and, fantasy football's right around the corner. Draft prep is ongoing for everybody. I've started mine.
I had my lottery the other night.
Love it. So at Urie's, you can plan to have your fantasy football draft party right here. You can choose from catering-sized platters of wingdings, buff tenders, crab balls, poppers, and mozzarella sticks, fries, chips, pretzels. They also have happy hour drink prizes, draft kit, and swag. You can book your party right here at Urie's for your fantasy football draft party. We're here today for the Phillies game, a Phillies watch party, the 50-cent wings, half-price pizzas, $5 drafts. Come on down to Urie's, hang out with us. Phillies game is in the bottom of the 8th right now. Baltimore Orioles lead it 5-1 with one out. They're beating the Phillies in this final game. Phillies were going for the sweep, but that is not going to happen, it looks like, as of right now. So 609-403-0973 is the number. We have a nice crowd down here at Urie's, and we had a couple of young Phillies fans come up to us, Charlotte and Lily. They were telling me a great story, that they named their dog Ranger Suarez.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he wasn't a dog today. He did not pitch well today.
He's pitching like a dog.
He was not great today. So, but they came right up to us, and big Phillies fans here. So come on down to Urie's, enjoy the show. We also have the championship trophy, the Eagles championship trophy, right outside the bar. So come get your picture with that as well, guys. Busy show today with the Philadelphia Phillies, and Zach Wheeler. This concerns me a lot, Kevin.
Yeah.
All right, Durso, I know you're the Flyers guy, but you're all Phillied up today.
Yeah.
The Wheeler injury, him getting pushed back to Sunday, he didn't look great for the past couple of starts, and it just felt like it just didn't feel like Zach Wheeler started. His command wasn't there. He was giving up a couple of home runs. It just wasn't your ideal Wheeler start. Since the complete game against the Reds, he hasn't been the same type of pitcher. How much of a concern is that Zach Wheeler injury as of right now?
Well, because to me, starting pitching is everything in the postseason. So that's the starting point of everything. I go into postseasons thinking about my starting pitcher needs to be giving me 6 innings on a regular basis. And in Wheeler's case, you're thinking sometimes beyond that. You're thinking 7 innings probably, and go from there. Like you think about Game 1 of the series against the Mets last year, and that postseason run, the way that started. The game changes once he's out of the game because obviously he's Zach Wheeler, he's your ace, and then if your bullpen's a weakness, that's a different story. Your bullpen feels like a lot more of a strength now based on how you addressed it for a guy like Wheeler, that you get 6 or 7 innings out of a Wheeler, turn it over to those guys that are in the back end of the bullpen, and if you don't have a Zach Wheeler that can give you exactly what you expect, changes the way you approach that game.
3 out of his last 4 starts, PG, he has given up at least 3 runs. And he's given up, I believe, 6 home runs in his last 4 starts. 6 home runs in his last 4 starts. He's given up the long ball.
And his velo's been down a tick. I mean, he throws 98.
And a shoulder's nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
I know it came back negative, the MRI. But do you even consider maybe even just sitting him out for a couple of starts? I mean, Taijuan Walker pitched a great game last night.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting Aaron Nola back. Do you think about, all right, let's give Zach a couple of starts off just so his shoulder's okay? You need him for the postseason. This is a concerning thing for me. And
Are you hitting the panic button?
I'm not hitting the panic button, but I want to
Not
give the
just
guy
yet?
a break.
Not yet.
I know Thompson's so laissez-faire, and he's, the MRI came back negative.
He didn't seem to have any concerns.
He was like, nah, he's fine. We're just going to push him back. I have concern. If
I
I'm a
do
Phillies
too.
fan, I would have concern, PG.
Especially with what happened last year. And we saw what happened with the pitching staff. These guys just broke down by the time that Mets series rolled around. I mean, I'm going to trot him out there on Sunday to see how he does, see how he responds to an extra 2 days of rest. But, after that, if he still complains of stiffness or whatever he said, then I'm going to hit the panic button. Because I cannot imagine this rotation without a Zach Wheeler at the top. Game 1, who's your starter?
Oh, I don't even want to think about
Sanchi?
that. I mean, Sanchez, I would feel comfortable with game
Right.
1. But preferably. I mean, you want Zach Wheeler. He's the horse
Absolutely.
in the Cy Young race. That's the guy you want to lead off game one of either a wild card, hopefully a divisional round for the Philadelphia
It does
Phillies.
make you a little nervous saying that, hey, we're one Zach Wheeler injury away from
This thing really falling apart.
Right,
Right.
not having him.
And it really counters
yeah.
the excitement of the Duran acquisition
Right.
too. That you've got a guy who can close games, throwing 103 the other night, and maybe your ace is in trouble here with an injury.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. 609-403-0973. We started the show talking about the outfield. What is your ideal outfield lineup look like for the Philadelphia Phillies? Getting into some Wheeler talk. I want to go back to the text board real quick. Stephen Mays Landing chiming in with his outfield take. He says Bader should be in center every day. Marsh and a right-handed platoon. Later in games for defense, my outfield looks like Bader, Marsh, and Rojas in some capacity. He's traveling to the Cayman Islands. World traveler Stephen Mays Landing.
Oh,
There
some
we go.
scuba diving in the Caymans. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go. That'll be a lot of fun. So 609-403-0973.
A lot of Rojas love today.
Yeah, there is.
I think
I don't
people-
get it.
The problem is he can't bunt, and I've talked about this on the air a couple of times. He just can't bunt, PG.
He cannot bunt.
I can't stand the fact that he can't bunt, because if he could bunt, he'd be perfect guy to come off the bench with his speed, his glove in the outfield, late in the ball game. I would love to have Johan Rojas. He just can't hit, and he can't get a bunt down.
I know it wasn't the game that you were at, but he was in the perfect situation for
I
that
know.
against the Yankees.
Yep.
You're down a run first and second. You need a bunt from a guy who should be able to get one down, and he can't do it. And you don't ever find a way to get that
And it
run
was
across.
Kepler who got the bunt down, right?
Yeah,
Is that-
it was
that's the
Kepler.
same situation,
Great.
right? We're
We
talking
want
about?
Max Kepler bunting
Right.
late in the ball game over Johan Rojas. I mean, Johan Rojas has had 3 years to figure out how to bunt, and he just hasn't. 609-403-0973. Like the guy said, a lot of Rojas love on the text board today for the outfield. People want to see him back. Got another text, no name, but it is a funny one.
Anonymous.
Phillies should have signed Victorino after last week's Savannah Bananas game. I don't think Shane's coming back anytime soon.
Although he was at alumni weekend, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
There was a lot of different characters out there. Ben Revere was the big one, because Mike and I on the Nuggets, we talked about some of the jerseys that we have. I do have a Ben Revere.
Do you
jersey,
really? What's he
swear to
I
God.
saw the picture.
Is that
I
number
can't
two?
believe you
Number
still
two,
have
yeah.
that.
Number 2. I posted the Kevin Cobb one too. So that was
I can't believe you have a Kevin Cobb jersey.
That Kevin Cobb one looks suspect. Where did you get that at?
that was no.
I think
mean,
that was an eBay purchase.
That
or
looks
something.
like
10.
something knock
Came from overseas.
I
yeah.
was definitely like 10 years old when I purchased a Kevin Cobb jersey. But, Ben, they had a lot of characters out there for Alumni Weekend. And I thought Jimmy Rollins, he was fantastic. His speech was great. Ed Wade's was great as well. And, we'll talk about Jimmy a little later in the show, because he said something very fascinating following the Max Kepler comments about the fans. And we'll talk about that in the 3 o'clock hour. We'll listen to some of that audio.
That was a good quote last night from Kepler, right?
Yeah, it was.
Love language.
It was.
Yeah.
Booing is kind of Philadelphia's love language.
It is.
Are
It's
you
very-
a booer? Are you guys booers at all?
I'm a booer at the game, yes.
I mean, you're asking the wrong person. I cover a team.
That's true. I'm a booer. I love booing.
Yeah.
I will boo if there's
You're
a
kind
need
of
for
born
booing.
in, I mean,
boo.
it's
If I
you're
am at
born
the
into
game,
it.
if I am at the game as a fan, I expect good performances. So I would be if I got
You'd be a booer.
upset enough. Yeah.
I love it, Durso. Love it. All right. First hour of
You
the
got to
Sports
pick your
Bash.
spots, though. I mean, you can't boo the man every time,
No,
right?
No, not every time.
If
They
he's
were-
dogging it or he comes up small in a big spot, there you go.
They were booing the Duran non-entrance last night as
Yeah.
Max Lazar came. I
That's
felt
just
bad.
Philly
felt
being
bad.
Philly.
I
That's
felt
okay.
bad for Max Lazar.
Sure is.
All right, first hour of the Sports Bash is in the books. We are live from Urie's in Wildwood. Nick Earnshaw, Kevin Durso, Pete G filling in for Mike Gill today. Come on down, Phillies watch party. Game's in the top of the ninth, so the Phillies do have one more at bat. They're down 5-1 at the moment. A lot to talk about on the way, and I want to talk about Jose Alvarado. We mentioned it with Mike McGarry. He sent out an apology on social media as well as in the clubhouse yesterday. We'll talk about Jose Alvarado on the other side. This is the Sports Bash live from Urie's in Wildwood.
I mean, sometimes I think the boos are their love language, you know. So, but yeah, I don't know why they were booing towards the end of that last inning there. But
there he is, Max Kepler. Last night, post game. Booing is probably our love language. I think it's the perfect way to describe it. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill alongside Kevin Durso and Pete G. Josh Henning and Alex back in the studio hitting the buttons for us today. But, yeah, Max Kepler, listen, had a big night last night. I'm happy for him, Durso, okay? I'm very excited for him. He had a big night, and he's been struggling. And, you hate to see that for a ball player, struggling, all the things he's been going through. He's been taking a lot of heat overall as well. Has a big night. It was very nice. Cool. Awesome. However, I'm not sold on Max Kepler still being in this lineup, even on a platoon basis at this point. But he invoked the fans. And, another guy who played here for a long time just got inducted to the Phillies Hall of Fame, like we were talking about at the end of the 2 o'clock hour. Jimmy Rollins last night said this about the Phillies fans. Take a listen to J-Roll.
They're going to be hard on you. Don't be soft. Don't let it get to you. No, they want the best. They don't hate you. They don't want to see you do bad. They're just like, why can't you do better?
Totally.
And we play in a sport that is full of failure. We accept that within ourselves, within our group. The fans will never accept that. They're there to see you do one thing. One, that's win. And two, I'll always remember they want to be entertaining. There's nothing more entertaining than winning.
And I'll tell you what, J-Roll hit the nail on the head on the TBS post-game show last night. I mean, Durso, I think Max Kepler's starting to get it a little bit. I think, based on some of his comments last night, they're going to boo. And when you're in Philadelphia, you have to expect that. That is part of it. It's a different vibe to play in this town. And listen, Kepler's taken a lot of heat. He struggled. He got paid $10 million in the offseason, and they're still trotting him out there. I understand that. You trade for Bader, but it seemed like he got it a little bit last night.
Yeah, well, and I think it goes both ways, right? That's the more negative side of it. They're booing for lack of performance. Things like that. I saw a lot of stuff from the Tuesday game, or from the Monday game, I should say, with Kyle Schwarber. It's like, look at Kyle Schwarber having the night that he has. This is MVP chance and all of this type of stuff, and the Grand Slam and the reaction to that this is August. And the thing about that to me is that doesn't surprise me, because I look at last season, they're off to that great start. It was early June. I was at a game it's just a random Sunday night game, and the crowd's going nuts. It's like the 6th inning, and people are acting like it's the 9th or 10th, and it's like, that's the way Philadelphia is when it comes to these teams. They get really over the top with it on the positive side just as much as they do on the negative side. And it's a good way to put it, the love language thing. It's going to probably end up on a T-shirt at some point, too.
1,000%
probably by tomorrow, if not already. But for me, being a Philadelphia sports fan and understanding them, they want two things out of you. It's really passion
and effort.
Effort that's a good one, but authenticity.
Yeah.
They want you to be true to yourself. They want you to be true to everyone else. And look what Kepler did last night. He was kind of honest in his post-game interview with T-Mac and also with the media in the clubhouse, but he was authentic, and he's gotten some sympathy for it today. Of course, the home run helped, but
right. And you don't see ball players all the time be as vulnerable as he was last night. I thought that was very mature of him to kind of just be very open to the fan base and talking to the media, saying, "Hey, I've basically struggled all season."
And
it's
got
been
him
tough.
sympathy. It got him a warm feeling from the fans.
It got a warm response. I mean, that's exactly what you got back from social media for the most part. But it's
all that said, it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
No.
This guy has been an absolute failure this season. The Phillies have tried different kind of things to get him going. They played him every day. They platooned him. They've upgraded at the deadline, and none of it's really worked except for last night. But
and remember,
at the end of the day, it's time to cut bait, I think.
He made those comments about starting as well.
He did.
He made those comments earlier in the year. So there was already kind of a rift between him and the fan base as well, because he made those comments earlier, just a couple of months ago, regarding playing every day in left field. But he didn't earn it this year. And by the way, the Phillies didn't earn it today either. They fall to the Baltimore Orioles 5-1. That game is now final. So they take 2 of 3. They win the series. Lose today. Ranger not as great. Went 6 1/3. Gave up those 5 runs. But Phillies fall today. It's okay. The Mets are losing as well, so I don't think they're going to lose any ground in the standings. They're still in first place, 2.5 games up on the Mets. If the Mets go down today, and that game is in the bottom of the 8th, and the Mets.
It
losing.
is a shame you drop a game like this when the Mets are losing as well.
You could have gained another game.
You really could have, and then you go to Texas this weekend. You got to face DeGrom. You got to face. They just picked up Merrill Kelly from the trade deadline. So you got some tough pitching matchups coming up this weekend at Texas.
Yeah, and by the way, Ryan Helsley's entrance is not as good as Johan Duran's. I'm just going to put that out there. I think it's a better entrance we got here in Philadelphia.
Not during the. No, I want to see it during the day. I want to see what it looks like. Just
I don't know if it'll have the same effect.
Yeah,
it's got to be under the lights. The tarantula we all love.
Now here's the thing: does this justify what happened last night? The reaction, because Max Lazar was catching strays last night for just being the guy
if
who
you're
comes
gonna
in.
boo, all right. So the fans last night, in case you missed it, last night's ball game, the Phillies fans booed Max Lazar coming out because Brandon Marsh hit that home solo shot in the bottom of the 8th inning.
That was probably more booing Rob Thompson for just making that decision.
Yeah.
But.
So you could boo. I think you got to boo Rob or Brandon Marsh more so.
Right.
Well, I understand the logic behind it. I'm saving him for today, but then when today goes the way that it does it justify it a little bit? Because now it was, we could have had it last night.
I don't need Rob Thompson deciding who he's bringing into a ball game based on an entrance.
Right. I don't want Duran pitching
and
every night just because he has a cool entrance.
And that's the thing. The decision to me was right, but there's going to be fans out there that will also express.
Yep.
Well, this is why you should have just done it, because you were in the lead in that situation. Today, your team just doesn't have it. Today was like the perfect combination of all the things people worry about, right?
Yep.
A little bit of a rough start for Ranger Suarez. The bullpen actually was pretty good today for a bunch of guys who don't get a lot of action. But the offense,
the offense was Philly, man.
The offense was 1 for 10 with
just
runners
happy that
position.
they won the game last night.
Nope.
They have to go home unhappy because they didn't get to see Duran's entrance.
I'll go back to a Doc Rivers great quote. It was a scheduled loss today. I mean, that's essentially what happened.
Today,
When you're on a high of highs with the Philadelphia Phillies, they'll bring you down to a low of low, and the offense was non-existent, other than really Trey Turner, who nearly hit for the cycle today. It was a home run
back-to-back
shot.
on the West Coast, going to Portland,
Back-to-back.
to Sacramento, scheduled loss.
Scheduled loss. 609-403-0973 is the number if you want to jump into the conversation. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill today. World traveler, Mike Gill, I will say. Kevin Durso alongside me, as well as Pete G. I'm going to get back to the text board real quick. Our question of the day is regarding that outfield. Today, kind of a bummer. They lose it 5-1 to the Orioles, but last night was the big story overall. What should the starting outfield look like? Kepler started last night. Bader's back in the lineup tonight. We're going mix and match, platooning with the outfield. What should the starting outfield look like for the Philadelphia Phillies? 609-403-0973 is the text board. And where in the world would you want to visit? That's inspired by world traveler Mike Gill. He's on vacation, traveling all these different countries. Add that to your text message as well, where you'd want to visit. All right, going back to the text board. Robbie from Little Egg Harbor says the Phillies have to make the playoffs first. Sounds like Mike McGarry. Everyone on the team has to play great, and they also have to be healthy. That's a big one because of the Zach Wheeler issue that we talked about earlier. Sosa fouls one off his foot. Bohm's still out as of right now. You need to get Nola back, too. So, I mean, you look at it, the Phillies are dealing with a little bit of health concerns heading into September, Durso.
It's all about the type of injuries that you're talking about, too. You don't want to hear about your ace having shoulder stiffness. I thought the same thing with Alec Bohm's injury when you were going to have to shuffle that lineup, and you kind of take a piece out that I know, another one where the fans have a love-hate relationship with the guy, but he's better than the alternative, and it's a rib injury. That's not exactly something that's easy to come back from. So, like my sister's the biggest Alec Bohm fan that I know, and do you think he'll be back by whatever? I'm like, this is a rib injury. I don't think he's back for at least a month, probably longer, like from whenever it was. And that's what you're looking at now, where he's not quite there yet. You have to take those little steps. So it's why Aaron Nola's injury has taken so long as well, and that's why you can view Nola coming back into the rotation at some point here as an upgrade, kind of post deadline. But it still factors in. You got to get through that time without them.
I'm a little concerned, Pete, with Nola because his velo in his first start down in the minor leagues was sitting around 88, 89. I mean, he's not in those low 90s where you'd like him to be, and you have that rib issue, right? I mean, that's a very big concern for Aaron Nola, and that's going to kind of help decide what the Phillies are going to do with that pitching rotation in September and October. What are you going to do in the postseason? Because you're going to get Aaron Nola back, but what type of Aaron Nola are you going to get back into that rotation?
I mean, for me, Nola is just an innings eater. That's where he really comes into play late in September.
Is he going to start, though? I mean, he's
Yeah,
been great
I
in the
think
postseason
so.
in the past.
I just don't think you can put him in the bullpen. I don't think he's a bullpen pitcher. I think he's just a long guy, innings eater. But he wasn't really pitching that well before this injury. The start to the year was not very good for him, and he's just kind of been gone this entire time. And you do wonder what you're going to get from him next month. I would assume he's probably, early August. Probably gets back into the rotation maybe 2 weeks from now after their long road trip.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with the bullpen in September and August with your starting pitcher, because they have such a plethora of starting pitching to go into it. Hopefully that's all being Zach Wheeler's healthy and the rest of the lineup is healthy as well.
Luzardo, I think, is a prime candidate.
I don't think so. I don't think Luzardo's stuff translates to the bullpen. I think Ranger Suarez is going to be the guy. I think they're going to go with Ranger anyway because he's been there. Mm-hmm. He's done it before. I think you're going to have to utilize him. I think his stuff also translates better out of the bullpen, even though he doesn't throw that hard.
I just don't trust Luzardo as a starter right now.
But do you trust him coming out of the bullpen? I would prefer him to start.
He hasn't earned that right either, actually.
Yeah. So you're making this is actually a hard decision that
is a
Rob
hard decision.
Thompson and the Phillies are going to have to make, Durso.
Well, to me, the Luzardo thing out of the stretch is a very real thing. This idea that he has the yips coming out of the stretch that's very real, and it's a very big reason why I don't think I'd put him in the bullpen, because that's what you're going to have to face. You're going to be in a situation where you might come in, runners on second and third, let's just say. You need to be prepared for that situation. Rangers come in the past. I mean, Rangers the guy who closed out the NLCS a couple years back because that's what they had going for them at the time. It goes both ways, because that's, to me, the biggest thing with the Duran acquisition is that he comes in and solidifies that role. You know who you're turning to in that close game in the ninth inning in the playoffs. But at the same time, you want to hand over the ball to anybody in the bullpen who you feel like has been there, done that, can do it again. Right now, that's Ranger.
To me, this lineup is not built good enough to withstand a pitcher who allows 4 earned runs in an inning, and you fall down 4. Like we saw today, they lose 5-1. The Baltimore hits a homer. You get down early. This lineup's just not built to score.
No.
When they're down 4 runs like that.
We've seen so many times this whole entire lineup go cold all at the same time, and they all went pretty cold today as they lose 5-1 to the Orioles. We mentioned the Mets just a couple of minutes ago. They're 3 outs away from being no-hit by the Cleveland Guardians right now.
Oh, is it really a no-hitter? I didn't know that.
It's a no-hitter. It is a no-hitter going for the New York Mets.
Cow.
As of right now, they are 3 outs away from being no-hit. So nothing's really going to change, but that'll be a nice little stinger for you Mets fans out there to get no-hit and be down 2.5 games in the division as of right now as we stand here on August 6th.
This is a true no-hitter, right? It's not a combine.
Yeah, it is apparently.
Same pitcher
it's not a
in there.
combine. The same pitcher is in.
Yep.
One out away. Gavin Williams.
About to throw a no-hitter. They have it on behind us. They're in the top of the 9th. So we'll keep you updated on that if the Mets do get no-hit. But we are down here at Urie's in Wildwood. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill today alongside.
Can you imagine that? Lindor, Soto, Alonso.
Yeah.
All these guys can't muster up one hit.
Durso, Pete G. I mean, if the Mets get no hit today, that would be hysterical. It would help out the Phillies a little bit, so nothing really changes in the division. 609-403-0973 is how you jump into the conversation. Our question of the day is, what should the starting outfield look like for the Phillies going forward? 609-403-0973. We're filling in for Mike Gill today. Where in the world would you want to visit? Any country, any place, where you want to go on vacation? Add that to your text message as well, because, world-renowned traveler Mike Gill, I mean, he's in Portugal last year. I mean, where the heck did he go last year? New Zealand? I mean, he was all over.
He did go to London at the time.
He did go to London, too,
series.
for the Phillies Mets. So, and we're going to blame Mike Gill for the downfall of the Phillies last year from that Mets series, but I'm only kidding. Nick Earnshaw, Kevin Durso, Pete G, here with you, and I want to continue and talk about something else regarding the Phillies pitching staff in the bullpen. Mm-hmm. Jose Alvarado going to be reinstated. He's not going to be able to pitch in the postseason. what the heck do you do with Alvarado? Now, he made the apology announcement yesterday to the media, had the assistant GM there translating everything as well. He also made a social media post to his Instagram account, etc. Do you believe him when he says he's sorry and how it was very emphasized by multiple reports that he just kept apologizing over and over, whether it's to the media, his teammate, the organization, on social media, whatever it may be. Durso, did you take that situation with Alvarado and really give him credit? All right, he really apologized. Maybe he really didn't mean for what happened, but you got to be more careful if you're Alvarado.
Well, we were talking about authenticity from players. I appreciate the apology. I appreciate being straightforward and honest about the situation. I believe him. It doesn't change the fact that it's a very critical mistake for the rest of the team that you weren't a little more thorough in whatever it was you were doing, and what I'm picturing here is that if you have that guy available in your bullpen also, I'm not saying you change anything about what you've done so far and go get a guy like Duran or anything like that, but it adds to it. We're talking about which starting pitcher maybe goes into the bullpen, which guy goes and moves into that situation to be able to be available. You need 4 or 5 guys still that you can lean on because you're still playing every day in certain situations there. You need to have guys available that if something turns into a longer inning or you have to go to 2 guys in 1 inning, you need to be prepared to have the next guy in line be available in the playoffs. Having Alvarado in there would make that a lot easier, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Alvarado is really the reason the Phillies are in so much trouble in the postseason and had to go out and get a lockdown closer because of him and the PED suspension. Not having Alvarado is huge, and he's a left-handed pitcher. Your next best is Strom and
It's
Banks.
a good point. You wonder what the trade deadline would have looked with an Alvarado who's been pitching.
I feel like they would have went out and gotten another arm. I feel like that would have happened, but would have been Duran.
Taking the big swing for Duran.
I don't know if that would have happened.
I don't think so.
Now,
but with Alvarado, real quick, the other caveat is you got to give Strom, Kirkring, Banks, got to give these guys a rest for the next month, right? 45 days until the postseason begins.
And if I'm the Phillies, I'm thinking that way too, PG. If the Phillies heading into the postseason can utilize Alvarado, I would use him every chance you get. You got to use him for 1, 2 innings, fine. I don't care because you want your Matt Stroms of the world, the Kirkrings, the Tanner Banks of the world, even the David Robertsons of the world who are just coming back, 40 years old. Those players you want as healthy as possible heading into the postseason. So utilize Alvarado. Use him as much as you can in the next month and a half when you're able to use him. And next year, by the way, if you have Alvarado and then Duran, that's huge as well.
Right.
Looking at it next year,
on
that'll
paper,
be a nice 8-9
on paper.
end the game.
You got a guy who throws 100 in the 8th inning. He's a righty, or he's a lefty, excuse me. In the 9th inning, you got a guy who throws 100, and he's a lefty. So righty-lefty, perfect setup.
It would be just magical if they could have had Alvarado for the postseason, Durso, because Alvarado, I mean, he was throwing gas this year. I don't know if it had anything to do with the PED. He was hitting his spots.
That was funny what McGarry said. He said,
I know.
What's Alvarado going to look like when he's not on PED?
Yeah, when he's not on PEDs, he's going to look like the old Alvarado from Tampa Bay and early on in the Phillies career when they had to send him down, right? Are you going to get that type of Alvarado again? I don't know. That's very interesting. By the way,
can I interject on that for a minute?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I really hated that McGarry said that because there is no evidence. You guys can laugh all you want, but there is no evidence that the performance-enhancing drug that he took was actually something to help his ability to play baseball. All the evidence is that it was an illegal diuretic that is only available in South America, that it is something that's not legal under the World Anti-Doping Rules. So it's illegal in the Olympics. People have been caught in the Olympics for using the same thing for using weight loss. So it's very, very unfair for us to treat something that other athletes have been popped for trying to lose weight as it helped him throw hard. The guy's been throwing hard his whole life.
Well, no, I think the argument is did he lose weight, right? And did that losing weight there, did it help him throw harder and be in better shape? That's the idea here, in my opinion.
But he's been throwing hard his entire life.
He has.
Yeah.
He has, but he wasn't commanding as good as he was. He was commanding better this year than last year.
Well, is it enhancing his performance?
Is it enhancing his performance? And that's the argument.
Is Kyle Schwarber losing weight enhancing his performance?
Well, do we know if he's using PEDs? I don't think that's a fair assessment.
Well, I'm just saying maybe we shouldn't project it on Alvarado then.
That's fair.
He did get caught.
Well,
and they tested
Alvarado's
him.
the one with the failed test.
Yeah, he had the
True.
failed test, and Schwarber hasn't failed any tests.
He failed a test for a substance that is well known as an illegal diuretic, according to the World Anti-Doping Association.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating stuff. Either way, he was suspended. He's not going to be available for the postseason, and it hurts the team. And I'm sure it seemed very genuine yesterday when he was, making the apology. He put out everything on social media. That's what it seemed like. So I think I'll take him at his word, but it doesn't change the fact that it did hurt the organization. It did change everything. And by the way, I do, before we go to break.
And you know what?
New York Mets, they broke up the no-hitter.
Yes.
Not just they broke up the shutout too.
Yeah.
Juan
Yeah.
Soto.
Juan Soto.
$700 million.
That was worth maybe $100 million. That's
Yeah,
not
$100 million. Breaking up the no-hitter there.
Yeah, so look, a solo shot with one out in the ninth inning isn't really going to do
But,
much for me.
I mean, Durso, it still harms them. It still
sure,
harms
because
them.
it goes back to what McGarry was saying about options. That's my whole point with this is you need like 4 or 5 really good bullpen options in the postseason just to be able to keep those guys rested from day to day potentially. Alvarado's a big one when you got a guy who throws with that kind of velocity, who's able to maybe take over a game on occasion, and you're not even going to look to him as your closer. It is fair to question what it would have done to the trade deadline approach potentially. I don't think it really matters because when you looked at what they gave up for Duran, I think you're doing that every day and twice on Sunday.
609-403-0973 is how you jump into the conversation. What should the starting outfield look like? Do you believe Alvarado as well? All that and more right here on the Sports Bash. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill alongside Kevin Durso and Pete G. We are live from Urie's in Wildwood. Phillies lose it today 5-1. We'll continue to talk about the fight-ins. We'll talk about the Eagles as well on the other side. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 97.3 ESPN South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. This is not Mike Gill. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike today alongside Kevin Durso and Pete G. We are live at Urie's in Wildwood. And remember, for all Phillies day games, the game is over right now, but still get down here. You got 50-cent wings, half-price pizzas, $5 drafts, $1 dog, $3 Philly Standard Yards, tailgate beer, and much, much more. I know we put our order in just a couple of minutes ago, so we're excited to start grubbing here in a little bit. And by the way, the 3 p.m. hour is also sponsored by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and AC. Broadleys is your trusted source for heating and plumbing service and installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleys.net. Guys, we're talking a lot of Phillies, but the Eagles season is starting tomorrow. Preseason football. I mean, I know we're just juiced for the preseason after a big Super Bowl victory last year. By the way, we have the Eagles championship trophy here at Urie as well. You can come down, get your picture with it. It's a lot of fun. We're having a great time filling in for Mike here. But I want to talk about the Eagles and the trade that they just made with Jacorian Bennett from the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll tell you what, we talked about it a little bit on Nuggets just the other day with Mike. And I'll tell you, I love this trade from Howie Roseman. I know they had to give up Thomas Booker, but Gabe Hall has had a really good camp, and I think he's going to have a really good shot at making the roster. So they could get rid of one of those interior defensive linemen, but they get Bennett back. And that number 2 corner position is up in the air. And Mike's talked about it. We've talked about it a couple of times where he could take in that Isaiah Rodgers type of role. I think Bennett's kind of a steal because the Raiders really didn't want him because he lacks size. And we know Pete Carroll with those Seahawk teams, with Richard Sherman and all those guys, a legion of boom out there in Seattle. He loves big corners. Bennett didn't fit their scheme, so I guess he was expendable. So you let Howie Roseman cook a little bit here, Durso. I love this move. I think if he stays healthy, this could be a game changer and an X factor for the Eagles that no one's really talking about. I know he's not the big name, but I love these types of moves that Howie Roseman makes.
It's really funny this happened now because Josh and I on Hanging with Hennig on Saturday spent a decent portion of time talking about that cornerback 2 position.
Yep.
And where he goes. And we were just focused on Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo.
Yep.
That was really like the battle that we were focusing in on. You got another element with this here, and this doesn't happen by accident.
Nope.
This is based off of the information they're getting so far before actually playing a preseason game. There's a reason they want to see somebody else in this role, and I think that's really important.
What does that say about really Adoree Jackson?
Yeah.
And what he's brought to camp so far, which is probably, I mean, he hasn't taken a stranglehold on that position battle quite yet.
Sure.
So they bring in a new guy, change of scenery type guy. Like you said, they gave up Booker, who was really behind in the depth chart behind, obviously, Carter and a Jomo and guys like that. So change of scenery trade for me. But what does this say about Adoree Jackson?
Yeah, and, it also brings in the factor of special teams because the Philadelphia Eagles love Keely Ringo on special teams. He's played a lot of it now in his career with the Birds. How much does that say about it? And, I know they have a lot of depth there, and, you bring up a great point. What does that mean for Adoree Jackson? How has he been in camp, and is he a guy that they trust, Durso? Because if you're going out and making a trade for another cornerback in an already crowded cornerback room, a fairly young one too, what does that say about those guys? So I think this is a move that Howie made, and it replaces kind of the Isaiah Rodgers role type of deal is where I think it really comes down to. I think he can kind of be that guy and step in and be an outside corner because I think that's where they're going to put him.
And, I think it also comes down to some of the extremes of what you've gotten from that position otherwise, too. When you really hit home runs on two top picks in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and you have those guys as part of the fixture there, and DeJean fits in so well at his role, playing that nickel role, maybe being able to translate that over to some safety play at times. You don't want to change that up. You don't want to change up what Quinyon Mitchell brings as your CB1 because he's obviously the guy that you're going to lean on now to cover the top wide receivers in the game. But you need somebody else who fills the other role, and you're trying to bridge that gap. Maybe it just comes down to guys just not doing enough.
Yeah, and that Cooper DeJean, he's going to be kind of that versatile guy who's going to play all different types of positions in the nickel spot. in the slide. He's going to play some safety. You're going to see him all over the place, PG. And that outside corner spot with all the free agency loss that you did have, Darius Slay leaving, Isaiah Rodgers leaving, you need to fill that role. They go out and get a guy who's younger, who's had some success. He was very good against Jamar Chase last year, and that's one of the games people like to talk about. He held him to under, I believe, 50 yards. So this is someone that has potential, is young, and could fit into this young defense, and a guy that Vic Fangio can get very creative with.
That's the key.
Yep.
Hopefully this was a Vic Fangio move, because we heard a couple weeks ago talking about Adoree Jackson. It wasn't really a Vic Fangio signing. It was more of a Howie Roseman signing if you listen to Fangio in his press conference.
And Vic will be very honest with you.
And which is good.
Which is great.
So hopefully these Fangio and Roseman are both on par with Bennett's trade here. So hopefully Fangio can get him in. He's going to play tomorrow night, I assume.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I'm assuming
Which tells you
play.
Another thing about Adoree Jackson is we need some guys in here. We need some depth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is he struggling? Do they trust him? They wanted to go younger. They wanted to add another corner in the mix. This late in the camp, too. We're in August. Preseason starts tomorrow. They add another corner already, Durso.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't show a lot of trust. And I think it was also a value move on Howie Roseman's part. And we know how much he wants to go out and find those type of players. I think this is one of those type of moves that could pan out. And, you know, I heard Mike yesterday. He was talking about Hugh Myers out there in Las Vegas and Raider Radio. People were freaking out that the Raiders traded this guy because they liked his young talent. However, that's not how Pete Carroll likes his corners. He likes big, strong corners. In Philadelphia, it doesn't matter. Vic Fangio doesn't need a big, strong corner like Richard Sherman.
And I think there's an element to people freaking out about it because of who the general manager is on the other side. When you have Howie Roseman doing what he does and finding those guys who can be a diamond in the rough, who come in and fill a role perfectly, this is exactly right. You want this guy to be both things, to be a Howie Roseman pickup, the typical savvy Howie Roseman move, and at the same time be a Vic Fangio guy that he slots in perfectly to what the scheme is, to what the role is going to be, and really just fits in really well.
And Ricks really is a wild card, right? I mean,
and I'm a big Ricks fan.
Are you?
I love Eli Ricks. You know, he's battled the injury bug when he came out of college. You know, he went undrafted. He does have size. He's a guy that can play on the outside part of the defense, on the outside corner position. I just don't know where he fits.
He's still in a position battle.
Yeah.
He's still not a shoo-in to make the team.
No.
And Mosher can talk more about this at 4.
And I'm excited to talk to Mosher about it because I'm very curious that now with this trade, what does that mean for a guy like Eli Ricks? What is that? Is he now on the bubble? Is he really going to have to fight for his positioning on this young defense? I think that's going to be fascinating.
And it has so much to do with on both sides of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, you know the guys you want on the field pretty much every play. You know the guys you can't take out of that picture. The defense is a lot more about rotations. It's about having multiple guys who can go in there and do that. And this just adds another element to this puzzle here.
Yeah, and I know we have Vic Fangio. He talked about this as well regarding the cornerback competition. It's a close one. Take a listen to what Vic Fangio had to say regarding what's going on at the cornerback spot.
It's close. You know, I think both of them are having a good camp, but it's close. And been happy with both of them, and we'll see.
So there you have Fangio. I mean, brutally honest, short and to the point, which is usually what Vic Fangio does. I mean, that's usually how he is. He's from the area. You know, he grew up a Phillies fan. We see him in the press conferences wearing the Phillies hat. But listen, they do have a close competition at corner, and then you have Nick Sirianni saying that Bennett, he adds a healthy competition. That's a quote from Nick to the cornerback room, and that's kind of what you need, especially when you're trying to figure out, all right, you got Quignon on one side, or if you want to have him roam, whatever. He's cornerback one. You have Cooper DeJean playing all these different positions in the secondary. What does that mean for this second spot? I think this is great that they added another corner into the mix because, I mean, they won because they had so much lockdown at those positions last year.
For sure, and that's the thing. You want guys who come in and fit everything that goes on here. I love what Vic Fangio brings to this because of the fact that familiarity with the area and knowing kind of what the fans want, not just want to hear, like in terms of giving them what they want, but also just knowing the perfect way to say it, to express it, because you can see through all of it. There's no crap with him. There's
No.
it's just pure honesty. It's pure authenticity, like we talked about. He is such a perfect fit for this, and you saw how well it worked because. You can talk about winning the Super Bowl last year and all of the other things that they did offensively, going out and taking care of the Chiefs from an offensive side. They won that game because of how well the defense played and that they became a well-oiled machine by the end of it. And that's why I would really just about trust anybody in Vic Fangio's system. If Vic Fangio's saying that's a guy for me, then I would trust him to know that that's the perfect fit.
And what Fangio said on Jackson, he put him on notice. He basically said it's put up or shut up time. You are a top pick, a first-round pick. You didn't work out in Tennessee. You didn't work out with the Giants, and now we're giving you really a final chance.
A fair shot, too.
A fair shot as well, fair competition. And obviously with this move with Bennett, it just has not taken a stranglehold on that cornerback position number 2 yet.
609-403-0973 is how you jump aboard. We're down here at Urie's in Wildwood for the Phillies watch party. Phillies fall to the Baltimore Orioles 5-1 today. We're talking Phils, we're talking Eagles. You can jump into the text board at 609-403-0973. Our question of the day is Phillies related, but if you want to add an Eagles topic in, you are more than welcome. Our question is, what should the starting outfield look like for the Phillies? Let us know, and you can also say, where in the world would you want to visit? Because we're filling in for Mike Gill today. He's a world traveler. He's in Portugal, like Pete G said earlier in the show. He's been all over the world, apparently. So let us know where you'd want to visit as well. 609-403-0973. I want to stay with the Eagles discussion, guys, because the defense took a couple of losses, right? We're talking about the second cornerback spot. Darius Slay leaves. Isaiah Rodgers leaves. They're both gone. It's a very young defense. Tell me, Durso, where you stand. Do you think this defense will be good enough to make another run heading into next year? Is there anything that concerns you for the most part heading into this next year?
There really isn't that much because of the fact that I feel like they've all been kind of groomed really well under veterans from last season, under Vic Fangio as the coordinator. Like, I'm fully ready to hand this thing off to Quinyon Mitchell as the number 1, for example. I can see progress from, like off the edge. Jalix Hunt, I think that's going to be a key part of your defensive front there and making an impact. One of the ones I was interested about, and I have it prepped to ask Moshe about this, is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. getting placed as one of the top guys on the depth chart there. I think that's really interesting. I love his pedigree. I think he comes from, obviously comes from a football family, knows the area, knows the familiarity with the way Eagles fans are. It's just about whether or not his game translates to being a true starter in that position. I think the potential is there. I hope that the performance is also there. But I'm really curious as with his placement there to see where they kind of see that going, because I was surprised to see it.
Yeah, Pete, does linebacker worry you at all? Because
that's another position that does worry me.
Does that worry you? Because I know Nakobe Dean got hurt last year. Zach Bond had a career year. He gets the contract now. Remember, guys in a contract year always seem to perform a little bit better when they're about to hit that open market. Zach Bond was unreal, came out of nowhere from the New Orleans Saints last year. So is there any concern of a step back for a Zach Bond, the Nakobe Dean injury? Durso mentions Jeremiah Trotter, getting inserted there at times during this probably upcoming season. A linebacker could be a little shaky.
I think Campbell will be serviceable in his first year with the Fangio effect. Like
he's
he's
had a great camp.
He's had a great camp, as has Moro Ajomo, who's going to be a replacement on the defensive line for Sweat and Williams. But I think with Campbell coming in there, he's going to be serviceable. And hopefully by the time the playoffs roll around, they're going to be rolling.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
I think when you play teams against, like the Giants or some of these lower tier teams, I think Campbell can certainly have an impact.
Yeah, I think Campbell's going to have a massive impact this year, and I can't wait to discuss that with Mosher heading into Football at 4. We're about 18 minutes away from that, but we are live here at Urie's in Wildwood. We had a Phillies watch party here. You can still come on down, get some great food, some great drinks. A lot of fun here at Urie's in Wildwood. We'll be here for those Phillies day games. We also have the championship trophy from the Eagles out there. You can get your picture taken with it. So a lot going on here at Urie's in Wildwood. We'll take a quick step off. When we come back, the unsportsmanlike play of the day, or excuse me, the unsportsmanlike moment of the day, right here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't go anywhere.
If I'm doing my ideal burger here, I've been into smash burgers lately. I love a little
Why does
smash
that taste
burger.
better?
I think it's because the flavor is somehow enhanced, and I like the edges that are crispy.
When they smash it?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
it's
we're
good.
going double-decker smash burger.
Yep.
I want lettuce, tomato, lots of pickles, mustard, and ketchup on top.
And that is our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Michelle Smallman going with the smash burger, some of the trendy foods that are popular at the moment. I gotta be honest, I'm a big smash burger person.
Are you?
I love
I've never
the
had
smash
one.
burger. Oh, the smash burger is awesome. It's like flattened, but I'm very plain. So
Okay.
You're just ketchup mustard kind of guy? Yeah, me too.
I get rid of the mustard, get rid of the ketchup. I'll go cheese only and lettuce. That's how plain
Oh,
I am.
wow. That is
That's
pretty
how
plain
plain I am.
Jane.
So
Yeah.
I'm in on the smash burger. You guys in on the smash burger?
I've never
would
had
do
it, but I'll try it.
Wow.
I would do that.
You never
Absolutely.
had it either?
No. I have had it. It's
Killing me, Durso.
no. I have.
Are they
It's-
around here? Where
You can get them
we
at any
one?
restaurant. It's like a thing now. It's
You
not
can-
just
Oh.
yeah.
You can
it's-
also make them too.
you can
There's
make 'em.
Okay.
There's like a whole
You
procedure.
get like a
that goes
press
in.
and on the griddle kind of deal. It's
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Are you into a smash burger? I love a good smash burger. It's the flat, it's the skinny. I kind of like that. It's a little different from like a quarter pounder, I guess.
Well, you like flat
You like
wings.
flat.
so
Flat
of course
wings.
You're gonna go with smash burger.
Yeah.
you're a flats guy.
Flats guy. That's what we're going with. 609-403-0973. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill alongside Kevin Durso and PG. We are live from Urie's in Wildwood, having a lot of fun today. Unfortunately, Phillies go down 5-1 today. They fall to the Baltimore Orioles, and they can't get the sweep. They can't get the sweep today, but they will be back in action coming up in the next few days. Remember that Zach Wheeler, he will not pitch until Sunday as of now. That came out before the game today. Rob Thompson said they had an MRI on his shoulder. He was feeling stiff as well. Zach Wheeler will not pitch until Sunday coming up. So make sure you watch that. And, you know, that's something I think we've talked about ad nauseum here today is that Zach Wheeler, you're going to need him healthy for the postseason. But the Phillies they started a series against the Texas Rangers coming up, and then they will take on the Cincinnati Reds following that. So you got 3 games in Texas on the road, then you go to Cincinnati for that Reds series. And I want to head back to the text board at 609-403-0973. Our question of the day is, after last night, Max Kepler had a big night. Bader back in the lineup today. Not a lot of offense for the most part. But what should the starting outfield look like for the Phillies going forward? 609-403-0973. And then add where in the world you'd want to visit. Mike Gill's out. He is a world traveler now, as we have come to find out. Let us know where in the world
I would like to
you'd
see
like to go.
his passport book.
That's got to be
See
like
where he's.
That's
thick.
got to be sick.
It's got to be thick. It's not like a smash burger and thin,
No.
but that's probably a thick one for sure. All right, let's go back to the text board. I want to talk about this Alvarado thing. And Cole from LBI, he texts in, what is Josh talking about with Alvarado? That's not just a weight loss supplement. That's performance enhancing. And his weight loss supplement is a BS excuse. So Cole's not buying it, Durso. The apology and the whole story regarding Alvarado, I don't really care. He tested positive. He gets suspended. And you can't have him now. So that just hurts the team.
And I just want him to own up to it. You
Yes.
know, like that's the honesty approach here is that you own up to making a mistake. I'm not looking for an exact reason why it came back positive, why you didn't, take a look at something that was just for weight loss, whatever it is. I'm not looking for any answers for that. I just need, the honesty is a good approach to it. I'm still frustrated with the fact that you take yourself out of play for a postseason, though, too. That's the other angle of it.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Alvarado thing is going to be fascinating to watch on how they utilize him throughout the rest of the season. But with the text board question, we have Paul from EHT chiming in on the outfield discussion. Harper in left, Crawford in center, and Castellanos in right, Bohm at first. And
Who plays third?
He was playing third.
I don't know who's playing third. He said Champ at third. Who's Champ?
He's not talking about Kemp, is he?
Is he talking
Kemp.
about,
I'm
I
sure
guess
he's talking
Kemp.
about
Otto
Kemp,
Kemp?
That
yeah.
Otto
All right.
Kemp should be playing it?
That won't happen now. Just
No, I
because
don't
That's
think
too
so
many
either.
mixing and match.
No,
It's too much.
too much going on there.
No,
Okay,
Suarez
Paul,
would
that's not happening.
Suarez is the only guy I would have done that for. I
Yes,
think if you
if
got
you-
Suarez, then I'm moving
You're
stuff
not going
around
to
like that.
inconvenience everyone for Otto Kemp playing third
No,
base
I
every
am
day.
not going to inconvenience everybody for somebody as versatile as Kemp has shown to be.
And by the way, I've talked about it before. I think Harper going to first base really hurt the Philadelphia Phillies' chances at winning a World Series and the roster construction of the entire lineup, because that back in the lineup is not like how it was in 2022. You lose the right-handed batter, Rhys Hoskins. I've said that before, but the way this team is now built, after the trades you made during the deadline, you bring in Harrison Bader and what you have in Crawford, that's not ideal now. Now you got to go forward with Bader, Marsh, Kemp, and Crawford. The heck with Kepler. I know he had a great night last night, but I do not care, Pete G.
I agree with you in the sense that you can move Harper to first. That's fine, but you got to upgrade the outfield.
Yeah, they didn't, and
You didn't do that.
That's been neglected.
It's been neglected for the past 3 seasons, and they obviously didn't do it this year with Kepler. So
Yeah.
Guys, we've been talking about for the same problems for the past couple of years. The bullpen and the outfield. The platoons in the outfield. The bullpen. They semi-addressed it at the deadline this year. They really addressed the closer situation. The outfield, Bader, people weren't excited about it, but he is statistically probably your best outfielder. All right, that wraps up hour number 3, which is brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and AC. Broadlee's is your trusted source for heating and plumbing service and installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907. On the other side, we're going to continue to talk a little Eagles football. Jeff Mosher is going to join the show. Football at 4 is next. filling in for Mike Gill alongside Kevin Durso as well as Pete G. We have Jeff P. Mosher on the Twitter X platform. Jeff Mosher joins us for Football at 4 today. We got a lot to talk about. Camp has been a lot of fun. A lot of the storylines have been awesome. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. And listen, I got to talk about Moro Ojomo. He has been the story of camp, to say the least. He has been huge in this camp. You've had Leonard Dickerson really talk about him and in glowing fashion. So talk to me about what Moro Ojomo has done for this organization and in training camp so far, Jeff.
Good to talk to you guys. Am I in trouble, by the way? Because I heard Jeff P. Mosher introduce that. I'm make sure that my mom isn't part of this.
I was giving out your Twitter platform.
Oh, okay. Just making sure that's what
Jeff
it was.
P. Mosher, please report to the principal's office.
P stands for principal. Moro Ojomo. Moro Ojomo has had a very good camp. In fact, my colleague at Philly Voice, Jimmy Kemsky, wrote, he did like a media poll. He does this every year where he asks 30 reporters, who's stock up and whose stock is down. And Moro Ojomo, I believe, was the leading vote getter on defense for stock up. And not only that, but he wrote that he realized last year Moro Ojomo actually got a lot of votes for stock up too. It's just that Milton Williams had such a great year. Jalen Carter had such a great year. Jordan Davis gets a lot of discussion that it all almost went under the radar that Ojomo has played pretty well for 2 years now. The biggest difference, guys, is Ojomo is not built like Milton Williams. He's much more long-armed, and I think he uses that to his advantage. I don't know. He's a little bit lesser of an athlete, not too much, but lesser of an athlete than Milton Williams. But he's got really good hand usage, good feet, and he's having a very good camp. So I guess the question you would have that we all have to have, and even Vic Fangio has said it is, can he just simply slide into the Milton Williams snap role and not only occupy the same number of snaps, but can he play at that level consistently like Milton did? And he really doesn't have to because they're a little deeper, right, with Ty Robinson now as a 4th-round pick, and Gabe Hall really coming on in camp. And even Jordan Davis is doing his best to kind of become a little bit more of a pass-rushing presence.
Yeah, I'm glad you invoked Jordan Davis there because he lost a lot of weight in this offseason. He looks fantastic. You want to see him more in the passing game and getting pressure to the quarterback. What do you think his role is going to be heading into next year? And how much do you think we'll see him in preseason?
Jordan Davis?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not going to see him in the preseason. He's a starter. He's whether or not he's an improved pass rusher remains to be seen, but he is your starter in the base 5-man front, which, they'll play on about 20% of their downs. And now if Vic, I guess it wouldn't totally surprise me if Vic threw Jordan Davis out there in the preseason a little bit in a 4-man front as a 3 technique, just to see if that pass rush is coming along or not. But I still think that there's more reps that he needs to give to guys like Byron Young and Gabe Hall and a couple of other guys lower on the chart. So I don't know that you're going to see a whole lot of Jordan Davis.
Jeff, good to talk to you.
You too, Kev.
We saw in a Super Bowl winning season the immediate impact that Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean eventually had. And 2 other guys that are going to be elevated on the depth chart now are Jalix Hunt and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. got placed in a first-team slot as well. I'm curious what kind of your thoughts are on what that's going to be like for them. What have you seen from specifically Trotter in the past that is going to make him more of a natural fit to take over a slot like that?
Yeah, so going back to Jimmy's media poll, I think Trotter got 1 or 2 votes for stock up player, no stock down votes. And I was either the one or one of the 2 to give Trot that love because I think he's really, and honestly, it probably wasn't stock up because his stock wasn't really down to begin with, but he's had a good camp. He's very instinctual. He knows where to be. It's almost as if he grew up in a family of linebackers and just knows how to play the game. But that's sort of a stark difference than, say, Jahad Campbell, who is the way better athlete, but is still, even though he played the position last year at Alabama, still learning it, not as instinctive, but it's kind of hard to, when you're a first-round pick and you have that kind of athleticism, to not put you on the field. So I'm kind of curious to see, when that season opens and Zach Baun's out there, does Vic play both of them? Maybe one guy against the run, one guy against the pass? Or does he just say Campbell has shown me enough that I play him and Trot will continue to be a great special teamer and, fill in when we need to be? But I have the utmost confidence that Trotter can start next to Baun and hold his own pretty well there.
Jeff, I wanted to talk about the offense a little bit. How have the players been adjusting to Kevin Patullo, specifically Jalen Hurts? I read Twitter all the time, and I see all these interceptions that he's throwing and all this other nonsense. But
I think it's only 2 or 3. It's not like he's
the world is ending every time Jalen Hurts throws an incomplete pass. But how has the offense kind of been adjusting to Patullo and Jalen Hurts in specific?
Yeah, Pete. So I've covered, this is my 20th training camp covering the Eagles, and I pretty much feel like I've seen it all. And what I've seen this year, the offense got off to a nice start the first 2 or 3 days, and the defense came storming back. Defense had some really good practices, but that doesn't mean anything about the regular season. It's just the ebb and flow of training camp. I think Jalen's been good. I think he's been doing a nice job. What has stuck out to me is in the regular season, his targets tend to be pretty top heavy to like the top 3, right? AJ Brown, Devontae, and Goddard. And it'll be like that this year too, as long as those guys are healthy. But with Devontae missing some time, with AJ Brown out with the hamstring, he hasn't just per se made 1 or 2 receivers his main targets. I think he's done a nice job of spreading the ball. I think he is developing a rapport you can see with Jahan Dotson. I've noticed that Johnny Wilson, after maybe a rough start to camp, has started to catch the ball a little bit more. And I think in general, Jalen's doing a good job of running the offense the way it should be, making good decisions in the red zone, finding mismatches, getting the ball out of. He's weird. When he does throw the ball, he gets the ball out of his hand quickly. And then there are the times where he would take a sack in the training camp where he's just not seeing it. So or it's just not there. So I think he's been steady. There really hasn't anything that popped to me. I would say all quarterbacks in total, there just haven't been that many downfield shots. But, the defense starts off in a too high look pretty much on every snap. So that doesn't surprise me.
Next week, they're going to hold joint practices with the Browns, correct?
Correct.
What can we kind of get from those next week? Anything? As opposed to just going up against defense.
I love joint practices. I mean, because the players seem to appreciate it more because they're finally lining up against somebody that isn't their teammate. They're seeing looks. One of my favorite moments, and this is just if you're attending or from a personal standpoint, but 2 years ago when the Eagles went down to Miami, they were supposed to have 2 joint practices in Miami, and we were down there for them. Now, they didn't wind up having a joint practice on the second day because the Dolphins got some kind of stomach bug. Well, one of the most amazing things was watching Tyreek Hill practice, because say what you want about the guy, but he gives it 100% every snap in practice. And he opened up, even at 7-on-7s, he toasted Darius Slay. And it's just amazing to see like amazing athletes like that up close in person, as opposed to just watching them perform on a football field. So Myles Garrett will be in here, and it'll be really awesome to see him.
Shedeur Sanders will be in town.
I said amazing athletes.
So
Myles Garrett will be here, getting back to really good Hall of Fame caliber players. He'll be here going up against Jordan Mailata, right? And trying to think of some other good Browns players. Cedric Tillman, I suppose, will be an interesting matchup for. And yes, Shedeur Sanders will be here, and the 4 other quarterbacks they got. So there is stuff to be gleaned, Pete, because you'll see them practice against different looks. And then, from an offensive and defensive standpoint, as camp goes on, you start to know what they're going to do because they're seeing the same things all the time.
We're talking with Jeff P. Mosher right here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. You can follow Jeff at Jeff P. Mosher on the Twitter X platform. Jeff, I want to get back to the defensive side of things. And Andrew Makuba, he's back at practice as well. He suffered that shoulder injury early on in camp. What can we expect out of him over the next couple of days in the preseason? And what does his role look like, especially since he got hurt?
Yeah, kudos to him, Nick, for being limited yesterday. What was yesterday? Tuesday? I forget what day it is. Yeah. He gave it his best. He's working through that shoulder injury. He had a nice pass breakup. He, quote unquote, allowed a touchdown to Dallas Goedert along the back line of an end zone, but it wasn't a coverage issue. I mean, Goddard just leaped up in the air, caught it, and did Dallas Goedert things. That I don't really consider that a bad play on Makuba's part. So I credit him. He needs to get the practice. He needs the reps. I think he's better for the scheme with his talent than, say, Sidney Brown might be. Not that Sidney's played poorly. It's just that they drafted Makuba with that versatility in mind. And I think if he can get these reps, right, and get back out there, he'll have a chance to start the season opener next to Reed Blankenship.
You know, they make the trade for Jacorian Bennett from the Las Vegas Raiders. Adds a little bit more intrigue to that already crowded cornerback room. What does that mean for Eli Ricks? Because Ricks seems like he's had a really good camp. Where does that put him and his positioning on this roster?
Yeah, it certainly makes it tougher if Jacorian Bennett doesn't win a starting job and you trade for him. He's probably going to be your backup. So that's tough for Eli, who is a backup outside corner. It all depends. It depends on what happens between the Adoree Jackson battle with Kelee Ringo. If Adoree does not win it, they don't necessarily have to keep him. You know, it's sunken cost. It wasn't that much to sign him to a one-year deal, and then that might be good for Rick. So there's a lot to work itself out. I think Bennett's going to get a really good look here over the next few weeks. I talked to some Raiders sources about him. The way they've described him is a little bit like Ringo, like mini Ringo. He's not as big. He's shorter version, but he's for being a great athlete, just like Ringo, he's a little stiff-hipped, and he can be a little grabby, right? And those are the two things that stand out about Ringo, obviously enough, or coincidentally enough. So we'll have to see how he practices and acclimates to the scheme. It's not an easy scheme for a cornerback to learn overnight with all the what we call match, carry, deliver concepts that are involved in it. So it'll take a little bit here.
Yeah, and with Bennett, I mean, he didn't play a lot of special teams when he was with the Raiders, right? So are they kind of hoping that Bennett really kind of wins that job and plays very well? So maybe you have Ringo, who's really good on special teams, they can utilize next year in that role again, and they won't have to use as much in the starting role as a corner.
Yeah, it's a good point. He's been in the league 2 years, Bennett, and has not played a lot of special teams, but also he had a shoulder injury. I was told last year that would have prevented him from being able to play on special teams. So we shouldn't just assume that he can't contribute on special teams. But that being said, you know, the shoulder was still, I believe, as what I understand, it wasn't like completely fine. I know he had to pass his physical, so he's good there, no practice. But I think he's got to work his way through, just like Campbell, right? John Campbell. I think Bennett's got to work his way through that shoulder to see if he can both play on defense and special teams.
Jeff, the idea of Vic Fangio getting fits for his system. We know Howie Roseman's a really good GM, and he kind of works and operates with this idea that he's got to get guys who are fit for his coaching staff. So getting guys in, like Fangio was clearly a big fan of getting Campbell and Makuba. Those were two guys when they drafted, and there seemed to be a lot of excitement in the room. How important is that to have that bond between the general manager side of things and building the team and the coaching staff that's going to take them to the next level?
Yeah, it's important, but I mean, it should be pretty clear that Howie's going to go get guys that Howie feels are right for the team, and he does factor in coaching. But I will say, and this is not meant to be a criticism because, well, it is, but I mean, anybody can do this. But like, he has definitely signed players who did not fit his coach's schemes and has paid the price for that in the past. You know, it was just 2 years ago. Well, it was just last year he signed Devin White, who is the type of inside linebacker that Vic Fangio would not want to be involved with. And all, you know, us reporters would hear is we're wrong about this because they wouldn't have made this signing if Vic Fangio didn't sign off on it. Well, you heard last week Vic Fangio say he didn't even watch tape on Adoree Jackson. It was a guy that Howie wanted and Howie signed it. So good thing for Howie is he's able to make trades and make other moves that compensate for his occasional signings that don't fit. But I think ordinarily Howie does look for players who are going to fit the scheme. And sometimes he just signs players who he hopes the scheme will acclimate to or vice versa. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, one move that maybe might not work out, we'll see how the cutdown day goes, is Kenyon Green. How has his camp gone? He hasn't really taken a stranglehold on that job yet. So what about Kenyon Green, Jeff?
So going back again to Jimmy Kempski's media poll survey, Kenyon Green got a lot of votes, but it wasn't in the stock up category. It was the stock down category. Not been impressive. It's hard for us to judge offensive linemen in training camp. So you go a little bit on what you're seeing with what teams he's running with. I know that the coaches don't necessarily look at one-on-ones as an evaluation of what kind of player you are. It's more for working on technique and, preparing for a pass rush versus blocking it. But, man, he got worked over in one-on-ones by, I think, Gabe Hall. I forget who I wrote down in my notes. Honestly, there's just been nothing that stands out from a positive note on Kenyon Green, and I'm starting to really question whether he's going to make this team.
Wow.
Jeff, one last question before we let you go. I do want to ask about the offensive line and kind of the interior offensive line and some of the position battles there. Can you give the audience just kind of where that stands at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, there is some competition going on there, but it's pretty cut and dried. The idea that there was ever a competition for Tyler Steen between Kenyon Green or anybody else was obviously a farce, because he's taken every single first-team rep and has drawn pretty good reviews from his teammates and coaches. So you know who the starting five is, right? And now it's bound to your backups. If they had to make the 53-man today, Kendall Lamb makes it as your swing tackle. Matt Pryor's going to probably be your first right guard off the bench because and he can play a little left guard too, but I think they'd rather have him on the right side. So that's 7 right there. Drew Kendall, I've been pretty impressed. I mean, he's been a center. He's one of the few guys they've got that has actually snapped the football, not named Cam Jurgens. That was an issue for them last year, which is why Dickerson had to play it when Jurgens got hurt. So Drew Kendall's going to make this team without a doubt, and he's already second-team center. So that's 8 offensive linemen, and then you've got guys like Darian Kennard. You've got Trevor Keegan, who is working as a third-team center. Not great with the snapping right now. It's not something he's done outside of the Senior Bowl, but he can play left guard, so I would probably think he's a good shot. And then Miles Hinton, the rookie, has looked pretty good. I would think those 3 right there have a pretty good shot to make it. So I've just given you now 8 O-linemen there, and Cameron Williams got a lot of work, which, they knew that when they drafted him, needs a lot of work to do. And am I missing anybody? And again, I'm not sure Kenyon Green is going to sit there and make it. Brett Toth, he's here for camp every year, and he's not on the team every year for a reason. So that's what you're looking at right now. And I would say that it's fair to say interior line depth could be an issue, just because you don't have, like a couple of years ago, they had some really good offensive linemen that could go in there and play and got claimed or signed by other teams.
Yeah. Listen, thank you so much, Jeff P. Mosher, for joining us today here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. One last one before you go. What is your biggest storyline heading into the first preseason game?
Well, it sounds like the Bengals are going to play their starters, right? At least on offense. Yeah. So I think that to me is a pretty good tune-up then for sort of the middle to the back end of the Eagles defense, who starters are going to have to play. I'm calling them starters in quotes because we don't know if they're starters yet, but I imagine Trotter Jr. will be out there. We'll see if Campbell's out there. We'll see if Cooper DeTeen. Yep. Yeah, I'm really, thinking more about the back end than the pass rush, right? Because Burrow's going to throw the ball around a lot, you imagine. But yeah, Jalix Hunt, can he get some pass rush? I think that's fair to see if he's out there. He, to me, is a projected starter, so I'm not sure Jalix Hunt will play. But how about Ojulari and Uche? I mean, Ojulari's been a little bit invisible in camp, so you want to see if he's out there, and Makuba at safety, and of course the corners.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Eagles play the Bengals tomorrow at the Link, 7:30 p.m., August 7th, first preseason game. We're just getting going here in the Philadelphia Eagles season. The NFL is here. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
All right, Nicholas, Peter, and Kevin, thank you very much. Talk to you guys some other time. Good job.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, Jeff. There's Jeff P. Mosher. I was reading off his Twitter handle, And I let
It is
the
Jeff P. Motion.
This
Yeah.
becomes one of those rare occasions where I'm glad my name doesn't have some longer form.
Yeah, right. All right, so there's Jeff Mosher for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast here on 97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill today alongside Kevin Durso, Pete G. We got a lot more on the way. We're going to have a full platter of Nick's Nuggets. We might have a slice of pizza, and we might have a donut joining us as well. We got Nick's Nuggets on the way right here on the Sports Bash. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. 97.3 ESPN. We are back live from Urie's in Wildwood. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill alongside Kevin Durso, Pete G. And what a great song to come back to. It's Future Hendrix. And by the way, if for all full disclosure, I'm a big Future Hendrix fan. That's a great job by Alex and Josh back at the studio. Absolutely awesome stuff. And, right around this time is usually when I jump on the air with Mr. Mike Gill, the world traveler himself. And we do Nick's Nuggets, which are brought to you by the Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. So we're going to do something a little different today. I said we have Durso on site. We got Pete G on site. We're going to make the Nuggets a platter today. All right, that's what we're going to do. I'll start with my first nugget. We'll get a Durso donut after that, and then we'll get a slice of Pete's Pizza right after Durso. But my first nugget of the day is, we just talked to Jeff P. Mosher at 4 o'clock for football at 4, and what was, we talked a lot of Eagles, but we didn't get to talk about a division rival in the Dallas Cowboys. And, I just got to say, me and Mike were talking about booing, and we talked about that earlier in the show today, guys, about booing players, and, it's a love language. Max Kepler brought it up last night. And I think I was wrong on booing Jerry Jones. I think Mike Gill is right. We should cheer on Jerry Jones because he is just doing a fantastic, dandy job there in Dallas. And this whole Micah Parsons situation is just incredible. There's nobody else that could set up a situation like this than Jerry Jones. So Jerry meeting with the media is always an interesting little nugget. And I want you guys to take a listen to Jerry Jones meeting with the media regarding the Micah Parsons situation. Take a listen to Jerry.
When does it become urgent? I mean, clearly you want him on the field against Philadelphia. When does it become urgent that we need to get something resolved one way or another that he's on the field against Philadelphia?
Again, your definition of urgent is not necessarily. I don't believe you gave a definition of urgent. Okay, and so I stay urgent. Okay.
Any confidence that he will be on the field against Philadelphia?
Again, no, absolutely not. That has to. A big part of that is his decision. How would I know that? I'm just saying. No, but I'm urgent.
I love it. Jerry, I'll tell you what, you're doing a great job as the general manager of the Dallas Cowboys. You need to stay in that position as long as you can. Don't give it up at all. Just stay as the general manager. I love it. Durso, there's nobody better than Jerry Jones.
That is the gift that keeps on giving.
The fact that he is out there arguing about the definition of urgent in the hot weather in Texas at training camp. I guess he was. I don't know. I don't think it was a Freudian slip that that Micah Parsons isn't going to play. It's not urgent that he plays. He answered no. Durso. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that, does it?
And then after he said that, Foreigner started to play in the background.
Yeah. It's magical to say the least.
That whole saga, not just the saga of it, but it feels like this just happens on a regular basis. That's why I said he's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year round, it feels like. Like, every time he has something to say, like, what was it, a few weeks ago he said Michael Parsons instead of Micah Parsons?
That was bad.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this, and I just could not stop laughing. I mean, you look at the Eagles, we're talking about a lot of, like, the backup positions. We're talking about cornerback. We're coming off a Super Bowl win if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jerry Jones can't figure out how to sign his best player, one of the best pass rushers we've seen in a generation, in Micah Parsons. And for some reason, it just, he finds a way to make it is entertaining, to say the least. But to make this a spectacle when it really doesn't need to be.
And it shouldn't be either, because Micah Parsons is their best player. And in all seriousness, Jones hasn't really learned much since the Jimmy Johnson fiasco 30 years ago. So, to me, contracts aren't negotiated on napkins anymore with Jerry Jones. And I've read he said today that he could just make a phone call and make it happen. That's not going to happen. You got to negotiate with his agent. And if you're going to talk numbers with him, you got to make sure that you're ready to go.
It's such a good point, though. Jimmy, it's such a good point because it's the modern day approach to this, too,
exactly.
That you can't take it. He operates sometimes as if there's also not a social media world around. Like, I wouldn't not want to be in his position and seeing my top player already disgruntled with me and the organization for one reason or another, and then have others in solidarity with them coming out and making posts too. It just adds to it.
Yeah, it just totally adds to it. You have also the situation with Terry McLaurin in Washington. That's another total nugget that we could get to another day. But Jerry Jones going out to the media and just starting to argue with them and like have a complete banter. Like we're doing a radio show right now. He's essentially doing a radio show and having a banter with one of the reporters about the definition of urgency regarding Micah Parsons and playing against the Philadelphia Eagles. I love this situation. If he's not playing in the opener, Dallas is in trouble. I'm sorry. Dallas is in a lot of trouble if Micah Parsons isn't playing in the opener with Jerry Jones at the helm. I mean, they have just struggled for years and years. They haven't been past the second round. I mean, how have you not learned? It's been so long. I wasn't even born. You got to dust off the trophy. We don't need to dust off the one we have here today here at Urie's in Wildwood. But, man, Durso, come on, Jerry. Come on. I mean, this is why we got to cheer him. We can't boo Jerry. So when he's in the owner's box, I don't think we should boo him. I think we should cheer him on because he's doing a sensational job as the general manager.
A sensational job running the Cowboys into the ground.
I mean, you got to clap for that, don't you, Durso?
Sure, of course. And like your point about Parsons, and if the longer this goes on, things like that. You can stay in shape, but if you're not part of this, if you're not part of the preparation from basically the very beginning, you are falling behind. You know, we see it with in just about every sport that there is. You don't want to be falling behind in that sense. So to me, that's just as dangerous. That's playing with a lot of fire to have one of those guys not be out there from day one and be fully committed like that.
Yeah, and also, I know a lot of Eagles fans have, seen Michael Parsons, in Sixers jerseys and Phillies gear, whatever it may be, went to Penn State. I will tell you this. Jerry Jones is not going to trade Michael Parsons to the Eagles. Just get that out of your brain now. Do not even think about it. It's not going to happen. He's not going to be an Eagle unless maybe it's free agency and then there's something happens there. But the Cowboys will not trade Michael Parsons to the Philadelphia Eagles. For some reason, this really goes sour and the Cowboys do trade him. It won't be to the Birds. You can lock that in guaranteed, PG.
Yep, it's probably going to be a team like the Bears, or I know the Rams were mentioned. But, I mean, who knows? This is just going to be a game of chicken until September.
It's great. It's great to see from our perspective here in South Jersey and the Delaware Valley. All right. Well, let's move along to a Durso donut. And you're the hockey guy.
Got some bear claws over there, Durso?
Yeah. So I think it's great that and I know you're going for alliteration there, that you picked donut.
I had to.
Okay. I'm going to throw a name out at you. This is a name in hockey circles that any old school hockey fan's going to know who I'm talking about when I say this. But Jim Schoenfeld, who was a head coach in the 80s and 90s. During a playoff series, he's coaching. He gets into an altercation with Don Koharski after a game over a call. Game's over. They had lost the game. And cameras caught it. He's walking off the ice. They bump into each other incidentally, but Koharski thinks it was done intentionally. And you hear on the camera, Schoenfeld's face is all up in the front. This is like an early pre-John Tortorella era kind of moment. You hear him go, "Yeah, 'cause you fell, you fat pig. Have another donut." And he says it with the perfect Canadian accent. So I think it's funny you went donut there for me. That's pretty good. So here's my tie to this thing, and it's going to feature a couple questions for you guys because I've been thinking about this. So the baseball entrance thing has become very popular.
Yes, it has.
And in my world covering hockey, that's not normally, you don't really see individualized stuff, but it's coming on. There are teams out there that have started to give players the, pick your goal song thing. And it very much is resemblant of a walk-up song or something like that. So I have three kind of parts to this. One would be, and this is kind of a simple yes or no, more or less. So you brought up Ryan Helsley earlier.
I did.
Ryan Helsley is coming into the game to Hell's Bells by AC/DC.
I like that.
It's a good song.
Good song.
But are there certain songs that should be left untouched, a la a Hell's Bells or an Enter Sandman, because of guys like Trevor Hoffman and Mariano Rivera? Or are you okay with that?
You know what? I think this is a great question. I think they should be left alone. I think if they are a great at the game, like a Mariano Rivera to Enter Sandman, I don't think a closer should be able to use that again. Hell's Bells, another one. I'm with. I think I'm going in the direction of I think you can't go and I know some players want to honor like other players, etc. But I think you got to leave it alone. You should be doing your own thing, especially if you're a closer. I think you should have your own entrance, like Joan Duran. It's his own thing. He's a Durantula. It's a mix up song. I think, yes, they should be left alone.
Because people are online going, this is so cool, this is so cool. And the song that's being associated with it was already very popularized by a previous pitcher. You know,
I mean, I would say if Helsley pitched for the Yankees, then absolutely not.
Sure.
No. I don't think you should be able to use it at all. I think that's the thing. I don't think you should be able to use one of those greats, especially for a closer where there's not a ton in the Hall of Fame, right? There's not a ton of all-time great closers. I think you should leave it be and let them have their song. You pick your own song. There's tons of songs to choose from, Pete.
So I'm glad you said that, though, because then my part two
he's got a part two question.
Was what would your entrance song be?
Entrance song. This is a great question. Pete, I'll defer to you first because I got to think about this for a second. I have a couple of options.
And for what it's worth, when I was thinking about my answer to this question, I left off the songs we're referring to that have been popularized by other closers. You know I wouldn't go that direction. I didn't even think about it like this, but I would not be choosing like a Cashmere to walk up to the plate to either after knowing what kind of impact it was for Chase Utley's career.
I mean, I would probably choose like a Chili Pepper song or something.
All right, I like
Can't
that.
Stop.
Can't Stop.
I would do Can't Stop.
Can't Stop's a great one.
I think that would get the fans into it.
I think Can't Stop would be a fantastic one. Can't Stop's good. Chili Peppers. I'm a Chili Peppers fan. I think the Stone Cold Glass Shattering.
Oh, so you like the old Matt Stairs walk up? That was Matt Stairs walk up.
I think that's fair game. I think it's fair game with Matt Stairs.
Well, I think it's just like I think it's fair game that technically Johan Duran is starting his whole entrance with the Undertaker.
Yeah,
yes,
I think
absolutely.
I would go Stone Cold Glass Shattering. If I'm a closer, that's what I want to enter to. That'd be awesome.
Fair.
I wonder if anyone's using that.
You believe that puts fear into the opponents?
Sure. It needs to be something a little fiery. It's got to have a little bit of juice behind it. So, and I'm kind of a traditionalist when it comes to this type of stuff. I go with the classics kind of or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, this one of my first thoughts was a little diminished because it was actually used recently by a Philly closer, and I using closer in air quotes because he wasn't that great.
A Romano?
No, it was Craig Kimbrell came in to Welcome to the Jungle, which I thought was
Guns N' Roses.
See, it met the moment, and then the player couldn't meet the moment. Like, that's the thing. Like, I was there for a couple games where he came in as a closer role, and they do the lights and all that stuff, and it's like, this stuff totally hits, but it didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
I also have, like, Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
That's a good one.
Like, and it kind of varies. Like, my answer probably would change every time over for a goal song, or if I was a starting pitcher, or if I was a closer.
Do you like that, by the way, the goal song versus the generic goal song for every player?
I don't mind. I don't mind it. The only thing that I question about that compared to being like a walk-up song thing is that, especially in hockey, you sometimes don't know exactly who gets the goal.
That's
it's
true.
reviewed later, and you go, "Oh, we changed it." So you might be playing somebody else's music for something they didn't even do.
The Flyers, they change their song every year, I feel like, right? Or
you know what?
Has it been a consistent one the last few years?
The last 2 years, it has been consistent. They've been going with Van Halen, Ain't Talking About Love, which they had used back in, like, I want to say, like, 2000.
Well, maybe with Tocchet aboard, maybe the
things
fresh
changed
face,
a little bit.
things will
That would have
change.
probably. I think that song would have been when Tocchet was last on the playing roster.
I want to go back to the studio. I know our producer Alex has a question regarding the entrance music. Little donut we got here from Durso. What do you got, Alex?
Alex's apples.
Well, my question here is, does it matter what team it was on? Like,
for like if it was like one of these players that.
Like, would you be pissed if someone used Mariano's song just not with the Yankees?
I think it should be off limits. I think Mariano Rivera is a different case.
Well, Mariano's a very different case as a unanimous Hall of Famer.
Exactly, the only one.
Right. I mean, I think Hoffman did it really, and Hoffman did it really well before it was ever like a true spectacle.
Yep.
Like stadiums didn't have the lighting, and I'm big.
Right.
Like I think the light show thing is awesome. I love that type of stuff.
Now, would you pay $15 more if you or not pay the $15 if Johan Duran's entrance isn't played or is played? I wouldn't. I think that's good.
No, I mean,
Mike Gill wants to squeeze the fan. That's what he wants to do.
That's what he was saying.
Okay.
He wants to upcharge
All right,
the fans.
Unreal.
Here's what I would say to that then.
How is that going to work?
To me, that's what I feel like that's what people would be paying for. Like at this point in time, and here's what I mean by this: paying for it with secondary market. If you were buying somebody else's tickets and they all started to charge more for the night games, knowing that this was a thing,
I think they will probably do that because this is a
you can get into a day game for $20, but you're getting into the night game for $6.
Right,
like squeezing
like
the
in
fan.
the case of last night, Duran doesn't pitch. Are you going to charge the fans as they exit the building?
But I'm not saying charge the fans up front if you're buying from the team. I don't think you upcharge them there. I can see people on the secondary market using that as a reason to up the prices on their tickets for a night
I
game.
think that's very true. But the Phillies themselves should not upcharge the fan.
No, I
if
wouldn't
it's
say
played or
that
not.
if he thinks they
That's
should do
great. He's like, well, it's a great business idea. If I'm trying to make money, I get that. Fine. But do you want to squeeze the fan? It should be included. It's a nice gesture. The Twins even talked about it. It was for the greater good of baseball. They didn't have to send over
yes, that's true.
the entrance.
It's the fan
It's
experience.
the fan experience.
The next business idea you're going to have with that is they're going to turn it into like Disney on Ice, where they sell those light up things that go all over the place.
I am out on charging the fan for the entrance. I think that's insane.
Now, if you want to charge
ridiculous.
$15 for a light up toy, if you buy
It's not
that,
even feasible to do that. He's not going to pitch every game.
Right, so you're
Yeah.
upcharging
Well,
for
that's
the
what I mean.
possibility.
He wants to charge that like 15 and then you get your money back, or you don't get charged until after the game. That's crazy. It's craziness. I totally disagree with the world traveler, Mike Gill. PG, do you have anything else you wanted to add there? That's it?
good.
All right. PG, we got a slice from you. What do you got?
We got a slice
for
of
us?
pizza here. We heard yesterday ESPN's going to acquire the NFL Network
Yep.
and other NFL media assets in exchange for 10% equity stake in ESPN. But that's not what I want to talk to you guys about. That was yesterday. Today, we heard from Roger Goodell on this, saying that ESPN has purchased the rights to the Red Zone name, allowing them to use the format for other sports, including a potential Red Zone-style broadcast for college football. They have the ability to do that, was the quote from Goodell. Now, can you guys get on board with 12 hours of commercial-free college football?
Heck yeah. I'm in. I'm
You're
so in. Durso, I think this is a great thing. If you're going to be able to add a college football red zone, oh my gosh, I already love the original red zone.
Are you worried about the ESPN
I
quote-unquote stink? You know, like everyone's worried about inside the NBA, blah, blah, blah.
I think.
Are you worried about that?
I think I don't think they're going to touch red zone for the NFL. But if they add a college football, they could put their own spin on it. I think
Is that a good thing, though?
I think it is a good thing. I think it is a good thing because now you're going to get to see a wide variety of games. I mean, how many college football games are there every weekend? I mean, there's so many, and it's a lot to keep up with for the fan. I'm already a big fan of the original red zone. If they add a college football one now down the line, I am so in. I love going back and forth between games. I think it's a great way to see every game all at once.
So the more I think about it, the more this isn't surprising at all. Because,
No, it's not.
Because the first thought that popped into my head, so the NHL has done something, to go into my space for a second here. They've done something for the last several years, as long as I think ESPN got the rights back, where they pick, there's one day every team's in action, and they stagger the start times by like 15 minutes, and they go from 6 to 11. It's funny because the Flyers have played at 6 on that night and 11 on that night sometimes, and a hockey game starting at 11 o'clock is brutal, by the way. But they took one of the, I think it might have been ESPN2 or something like that, and turned it into, I'm going to find the name of it here, they had something called the Frozen Frenzy Show, which was a whip-around style show, think NFL Red Zone.
Yeah.
So they already kind of tried to venture into it with another sport, and now that they actually have rights behind it to do it, I think that this is just something they've already kind of tried to experiment with, and now they want to take it from something where they had the rights like that to all of the above.
I think MLB Network kind of does something similar in a sense. I know that Major League Baseball does it. But if
hockey's very hard to do that.
Yeah.
With,
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you're on a power play or something like that,
Sure.
you could tune into
But
it.
I think every sport should have at least something along the lines of a red zone, so you can see every single game. It takes a lot of skill. I mean,
I think it
credit
depends on
Scott Hansen,
and it depends on like some of these, like you're taking an NFL Network concept.
Yep.
All of these leagues have a network. Like there's the MLB Network, the NHL Network, all that stuff. If you want to have a show like that on those individualized networks, I think it works a lot better than kind of being something where like ESPN's going to now have to pick and choose a little bit. That's why I think the college football one works so well. You pick a Saturday and you say, let's do this.
I think college football would work perfectly with this because there's so many games. You probably, might not get every game, but I think going around to so many games throughout the day, I think college football would. It would be great for the game, and it would be great for the fan experience to get to watch it. I know Alex has another apple for us back at the studio. He wanted to chime in. Alex, what do you got? What apple we got? Green, red? What do we got?
Well, it actually kind of goes with Pete's Pizza. So some people say pineapple goes on pizza. I don't think apples go on pizza.
Here we
but so I'm a big wrestling guy, big WWE guy. Also today, the WWE has announced that they have officially announced that their premium live events will be available that are in the United States will be headed to ESPN beginning in 2026. So I think it's going to be a part of that Red Zone NFL Network package deal.
Yeah, so
it's going to be all bundled together.
Yeah, the whole thing, ESPN's acquiring, it seems like everything at this point. NFL Network, Red Zone, WWE, they had Triple H on, I know, this morning, I believe on Get Up. We're interviewing him. Roger Goodell was on today on ESPN, so this is a big deal.
A linear cable thing, right? It's you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
The WWE thing, yes.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Because it'll be on the app.
Right, so if you want to watch WrestleMania, you have to have that app.
To have
yes.
the app. But I don't think this affects regular ESPN on cable.
No.
There's a lot of nuts and bolts that are still coming out.
No, but that's what people are wondering about with the Red Zone
Red
acquisition.
Zone, yeah.
That are you gonna have to pay for that on the side? Like, especially what if you're one of these ESPN Plus subscribers?
Yeah. And
well, it kind of does affect it, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
So-
another thing is UFC. What's going to happen with that media deal?
Yep.
Well, remember, the UFC is owned by the same company that owns WWE.
TKO, right?
So whatever probably is going on, there's probably a side conversation about the future of UFC because remember the pay-per-view model is dying. But back to your question about the ESPN. So every ESPN channel will be direct to consumer through this platform.
Right.
So ESPN, ESPN2, SEC Network, ACC Network, all that stuff will be available through this thing. So you don't need cable. You don't need YouTube TV or any of the other stuff. You can just be like, oh, I'm only going to get this. I'm going to spend $30 a month. Listen, I already canceled my YouTube TV months ago in anticipation for this, and now I have even more incentive for it.
And Josh, I know we were talking about it. Hulu's going to go into Disney and
Right, so Hulu is being dissolved in 2026. It's now going to be one of the tabs at the top of the Disney Plus platform.
That's wild. I have Hulu. That's how I watch.
Hulu Plus Live Sports is going to be rolled into Fubo TV because now the Hulu people are going to run Fubo TV.
I mean, is anyone else just like
I'm
just
getting
bombarded,
confused.
confused?
I know. Overload.
I mean, this is just an overload of media deals all at once coming together.
I'm just here to help
Hopefully
you
it works
guys out, okay?
Yeah, and Josh did clarify a lot for us
And
there.
you know
and
what?
for the listener
you
out
know
there.
something? I'm glad Roger Goodell can get another house, maybe in Aspen or Nantucket.
He can
I'm
do the
glad
draft
the
from
guys
there
at
again.
TKO can upgrade their private jets. I'm
Hey,
glad,
Pete,
I'm glad.
you know my favorite part of this whole story is, so you have guys like Scott Hansen. He has a deal where he's going to be paid by the NFL, but his boss is going to be ESPN.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's very confusing.
That's like a Rich Eisen kind of thing, right?
Correct.
Sure.
Right.
Well, there it is. There's the platter for today. There's a lot on that platter, to say the least, especially with the slice of pizza. What was that, like buffalo chicken, pepperoni, all wrapped into one?
Sausage on
I
there,
swear.
yeah.
All right, guys, we are live from Urie's in Wildwood. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill today alongside Kevin Durso, Pete G, Alex, and Josh back at the studio doing a great job holding things down. We have about a little bit over an hour to go left in the show. Ty Daubert, he's going to join us at 5:30 to talk all things Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies did lose today 5-1. And remember, during those Phillies Day games on Wednesdays, 50-cent wings, half-price pizzas, $5 drafts, dollar dogs, and $3 Philly Standard Yards tailgate beer here at Urie's in Wildwood. We're having a blast. Come get your picture. You got an hour left with the championship trophy. Come say hello. Nick Earnshaw in for Mike Gill today. We'll see you at 5 o'clock. Alex went a little WWE back there.
Wow.
Little
Oh,
Cena.
Okay.
SummerSlam action this past weekend. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill, live from Urie's in Wildwood, alongside Kevin Durso, Pete G. We're having a blast here at Urie's, and I finally got to eat my food a little bit, by the way. They were making fun
Just
of me
a little.
during the break, during that longer break after the Nuggets. I did get to have some
Still got a
french
big
fries.
fat crab cake.
I do have a crab
right
cake
at your face.
staring at me. Pete might eat it before we leave, before I even get a chance to look at it. But we're having a great time here in Wildwood. By the way, the Phillies lost today 5-1 to the Baltimore Orioles. We'll talk to Ty Daubert from Phillies Nation at 5:30 today. We'll get everything going on with Wheeler, the outfield. I got a lot of questions for him. I know Durso and Pete G do as well. So we'll talk to him about that and everything regarding the Philadelphia Phillies. And by the way, the 5 p.m. hour today is brought to you by White Horse RV Center in Williamstown and Galloway. The summer clearance event is on now at White Horse RV Center. White Horse RV, your RV adventure starts here. White Horse RV in Williamstown and Galloway. I kind of want to reset, and we'll open the text board back up at 609-403-0973. That is how you jump into the conversation. And we were talking a lot about the outfield today. Even with the game going on, Bader was in the lineup today. Kepler last night had the big day. Had the post-game comments about the fans. It was a positive day for Max Kepler, but I don't think it's going to be very positive coming up very soon with how this roster is going to shake out. So our question today is, what should the starting outfield look like for the Philadelphia Phillies? 609-403-0973. And also, jump in. Where in the world would you want to visit? And that question you can add to your text board answer to the Phillies question, because Mike Gill's on vacation. He's traveling the world, world-renowned traveler Mike Gill. So we want to know, where would you want to travel in the world? Text in 609-403-0973. And, you know, with the 5 o'clock audience coming in, Kevin, I want to talk about this outfield. And I know Max Kepler had a great game last night, all right? Today he wasn't in the lineup because, you know, Rob Thompson likes to make promises to his guys, and he's going to stick to the platoon. And honestly, it worked out last night. Today, not so much. Nobody really hit anyway.
Right.
But I think with this outfield, the Justin Crawford angle is so fascinating because of where we're at in the season now. It's not like he's had a couple months to see Major League pitching. August 15th is the date where they get an extra year of service time if they bring him up and wait until then. However, I don't know if that is the right move at this stage of the game in August and September. I don't mind him getting some at-bats, but you're trying to go win a World Series this year, and you're in a pennant race. I think the best course of action is Bader in center, left Marsh, and Kemp platoon in left. That's how I think it should go. What say you, Durso?
It's a tough conversation because of the fact that there's so many possible combinations that go into left or center or whatever you're looking for. I think a lot of people would just like for it to be Crawford strictly because we've been hearing about him for so long. That's the thing, and it's tough to go that direction when he hasn't been up long enough to really see pitching. Like you said, he hasn't gotten that level of experience that he's going to be fully adjusted to it by the time the playoffs roll around when you really need him to deliver. That's the hard part of it. Now, the other side of that to me is also, if you're going to be a professional and a major leaguer, you make the adjustment and you kind of go in full steam ahead, and it doesn't matter what time of year you're brought up, just be ready for that call. So it goes both ways. I really like the way that Kemp has played overall. Considering I think I had low expectations. I kind of there's parts of me that viewed Kemp a little bit, and maybe this is number recognition here, but a little bit like Scott Kingery trying to play the outfield. And it was just a little bit of, bad memories of guys who have tried and not succeeded. He's stepped it up in a way that I have liked what I've seen. I'm still more fixated on the guys that you brought in Bader for a reason, and you've got Marsh, who has been more consistent. I've got to give Marsh credit for being way more consistent. That's what I value too. Credit to Max Kepler for having a good game last night. It doesn't take away from the lack of consistency.
And good for him for being honest with himself.
True. He was very honest and very vulnerable in the post-game interview with Kruk and McCarthy, as well as during the media gaggle after the game. So I respect him for that. But it's one game, Pete. It's one game. He hadn't hit a double since June 13th. Had a home run as well last night. It's awesome. I'm happy for the guy. However, he is not produced. He cost $10 million this offseason. He's a left-handed bat that just did not fit this team anyway. They didn't need another lefty. And, you know, he made those comments earlier in the season about, you know, thinking he was going to be starting every day. He hasn't produced as well. I haven't seen enough out of him, and one game isn't going to change it.
And congrats on that one game. and we know that the fan base can be brutal at some times. You know, we all know that. And he was transparent last night, so that was good on him. But again, like you said, he's really been struggling. He's barely hitting over 200. We tried to play him every day. That didn't work out. We've tried to platoon him. That hasn't worked out. So you know what? I think by the time August 15th comes along, or August 16th, I think you're just going to have to cut bait and maybe bring up Crawford. But I just can't go into September and October with Max Kepler getting at bats.
Now, we've been given our kind of opinion on what the outfield should be. What do we think the Philadelphia Phillies are going to do? Because Dombrowski kind of has left it wide open. Rob Thompson's kind of left it wide open. They really have not been clear on what they're going to do. The only clear thing I've heard is that Rob Thompson promised Max Kepler that he was going to platoon for 6 days after the deadline. That's the only promise I've heard from the Philadelphia Phillies, and this outfield situation is dire, okay? They have to figure it out before you get, and they will, but you need guys to produce, Durso. You can't just go, like, I feel like they're just so laissez-faire with this whole situation after trading for Bader.
And that to me is an indication they don't know what they want to do either, because if you knew what you were interested in doing, and it goes beyond Crawford. If you knew what you wanted to do, and Crawford would be up earlier, you would have an answer to that. You wouldn't need 6 more days of, well, let's platoon 2 guys and see where it goes. Let me see a little bit more of Kepler. Let me sub out Brandon Marsh, who's been outstanding for the last several months in terms of,
He has turned it around completely, so you can't take him out of the lineup.
Can I give you some numbers for him?
Give me the numbers, Durso.
I couldn't believe this when I saw it last night, and apparently it is true. So he's got a .302 batting average since coming back from injury on May 3rd. Do you know how many players in the National League are better than that? And I'm talking in terms of, like, matching his plate appearances. I'll go that way for the season. So he's got 230 plate appearances on the season.
Right.
Marsh does. So of guys who would have more, you know how many guys in the National League have a better batting average with that many plate
Give it
appearances?
to me, Durso. How many?
Since May 3rd, 5.
Wow. That's not a lot.
He's 6th in the National League in batting average since May 3rd with that many plate appearances on the season. Like, not one of these guys who got, a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's like Manny Machado, I'm sure, is one of them.
Machado is one of them.
Right.
So I'm going to go by the National League guys first. So Will Smith, one of them is kind of a technicality because Ramon Laureano, who just got traded to the National League, technically has a better batting average since then. So that's a technicality. Tyler Freeman of the Colorado Rockies, Machado of the Padres, and Xavier Edwards of the Miami Marlins.
And I'll tell you, just kind of going along with those kind of stats, and, they talked about, Kepler talked about the guys at the bottom of the lineup, contributing to the win. I mean, last night, they lose today, but I think you need guys like Brandon Marsh to step up because obviously the big bats have to show up in the postseason. That's the Schwarbers of the world. That's the Turners of the world. That's the Harpers of the world. Even the Castellanoses of the world. What are you going to get out of JT in the postseason as an aging catcher? Those guys, and Dombrowski's talked about it too, they have to produce.
And to be fair, they have produced this season.
Have.
In the regular season,
but will it happen
Turner's
in the postseason?
been great.
He's been great.
Schwarber, obviously, MVP candidate.
Yep.
Harper was banged up. We know that. Castellanos is Castellanos. But Turner and Schwarber, they've really had great seasons.
Yeah, I mean, listen, those guys have had good years overall for the most part at the top of the lineup, but will they fall apart in the postseason? That's great. They can if they get to the postseason and those guys don't produce, they have no shot. But if you can get those guys producing and also add the Marshes of the world having a good postseason, the Baders, the Otto Kemps, those guys need to produce in the postseason too because if something happens, Harper or Schwarber aren't producing in a game and you can have the bottom of the lineup really get going, then you're in a good spot because the lineup's been a massive, massive issue and I've never seen anything like it. Everybody goes cold all at once. You need the bottom of the lineup to also produce.
That's what worries me about like a game like today when they just were listless.
Nothing.
Is a good word. Just no energy. And I know it was a kind of a throwaway game. We like to use that term or whatever. Scheduled loss. But is there more to it? Is this a microcosm of
Yep.
why this team struggles sometimes in the playoffs and in some of these games?
It's the problem with the idea, because everybody saw trade deadline and wants them to go all in. And to me, what they did, their all in was, well, Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Real Muto, the same guys who have been here since 2022, Turner 2023. That's the all in, that those guys this time are not going to all go cold at the same time. They're going to put together, and we've seen it happen before. So that's the fear of that decision. And then what I don't like about that situation is that you have upwards of potentially 3 platoons playing, and then you're going to sub out guys and swap guys out, and then there's, I'm not trying to defend Kepler's thing about getting into a rhythm, but in the playoffs, I would like to feel like I can feel more comfortable about putting Bryson Stott at second base, or
he's an X factor,
or Brandon Marsh in left or center field, whichever one it is, or Justin Crawford in center field every day against lefties and righties, and say this is who's going out there. That's what we like about those teams in 07, 08, that kind of thing. You knew every day what the lineup was going to look like. You were all ready to go with the Rollins, Victorino, Utley, Howard, Burrell, Worth, that kind of lineup, and it just kept going down the line, and everybody had their role and everybody stuck to it. Now you've got different things going on with different players and guys who you have, I would like to think, higher expectations, certainly with Stott at least. Like Stott, there's higher expectations and he hasn't met them.
He's been massively disappointing.
Stott,
at second base. You thought he'd be like a 270, 280 type of hitter.
At the plate he has. In the field he's been outstanding.
In the field he's been awesome. Like he defensively is Gold Glove caliber. However, he just
has
can't
it
hit
in
the
him.
baseball.
I mean, he
has it on.
Hits a triple last night, I believe, against the Orioles in that game. But going back to Durso's point about having your roles and sticking to them, that's why the trade for Duran was so important for many reasons. But now guys know exactly what they're doing on any given night. And you know that Duran's going to come out there in the 9th inning and blow by guys with 104-mile-an-hour fastballs and get you a save.
We're talking Phillies here on the Sports Bash. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill today alongside Kevin Durso and Pete G. We are live at Urie's here in Wildwood. Remember, during those Phillies day games, we had the day game today. Phillies fall to the Baltimore Orioles 5-1. Remember, you got 50-cent wings, you got the half-price pizzas, the $5 drafts, the $1 dogs, the $3 Philly Standard Yards, tailgate beer. It's a lot of fun. So still get down here. We still have a couple minutes left in the hour. You can get a picture with the Eagles championship trophy. Our intern Gina will help you out with the photos. It'll be a lot of fun if you can get down here before 6 o'clock. We're sticking with the Philadelphia Phillies, 609-403-0973. We have some texts coming in on the text board. Gabe in Northfield says, once he's called up, Crawford and Bader every day. So he's thinking Crawford, I guess, in center. Left, you would go Bader.
It's interesting.
Do you trust Crawford, though? That's the thing. Do you trust Crawford?
You got to give Marsh more playing time.
Yeah, you can't just sit Marsh. I mean, that can't happen.
Marsh cannot be the odd man out with how he's playing.
Yeah, you can't just go Bader and Crawford every day. Marsh has to find a way in there. He's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Durso gave us the stats just a couple of minutes ago, Gabe.
Yeah, Marsh definitely has to play. What I kind of worry about in that situation is if you're going to pick one guy who somebody's got to come out. If you were doing this based off of that trial period of I'm going to platoon guys for 6 days like Rob Thompson talked about, Bader's the guy who's sitting right now.
Other than today. He did start today.
But I'm saying, like, going forward.
Yes.
And it's only been 6 games. I don't think that's a fair sample to say for a guy who got traded and had to, come. Like, he came in and did his job the first time he was called upon, and Kepler hadn't that night.
If you're starting, I mean, you could go maybe Bader in left, platoon him with Marsh, and go Crawford in center.
I think that you have to put Bader and Marsh together in whatever it is you're doing. Pick a position. If Crawford's here, he needs to play every day in one of the 2 positions, and Bader and Marsh need to split the time otherwise.
The outfield's
I think that's why Crawford's still in the minors, because he can play every day down there.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating. We got Ty Daubert from Phillies Nation, their beat writer. He's going to join us at 5:30, so just a couple of minutes from now. Excited to talk to him about that. I want to talk about Kyle Schwarber, because I know PG mentioned it earlier today, and the MVP conversation. Okay, Schwarber has been fantastic. He put his numbers up against Ohtani. Ohtani's got the slight edge on him in a few categories, but Schwarber, I mean, the RBIs are there, the home runs are there, everything's there. Do we realistically think Schwarber will win the MVP? Pete, this is something I know you were chomping at the bit to get to today.
I think if he keeps up this pace, I think you cannot deny the man the MVP. I think with
I agree. I agree. Durso, I agree.
I mean, Ohtani got it last year.
Yeah.
We know that. He didn't pitch. Another DH, by the way. But
yeah, right.
I think with what Schwarber's doing, you cannot deny the man the MVP.
No, I think for Kyle Schwarber, he has been so ridiculous. They got to pay that man.
Yeah,
by the way,
that's
he
the
needs,
other thing.
He needs a new contract.
He does need a new contract.
He needs a new contract, to say the least. I mean, I don't care what they give him in the offseason. That guy, I know he's going to be 33 years of age next year. But that guy needs to be on this team. Even when you're transitioning with those younger guys and calling up the Millers, the Crawfords of the world, that guy's a leader in the clubhouse. Yes, he's been great at the dish. He's been a massive force offensively throughout his Phillies career. But he is a massive part of that locker room.
Well, think about it. Any prospect I'm looking to call up shouldn't be in a position to be the DH only.
No.
Like, this is what he does. He's really good at it. Pay the man and let him continue to be the clubhouse leader that he is and go forward with that. And let anybody else who comes up, because we can have that discussion about a lot of different guys going forward. Whatever you decide to do with the outfield, if Crawford went, with Crawford, certainly next year when he probably should be a full-time guy next year. Aiden Miller, whatever the situation with him is, it seems pretty clear they're probably grooming him to be a successor over at third base at some point down the road. And then the Painter conversation, which is part of the rotation, they all have their roles in their specific positions. You don't have a guy who you usually come up to say, well, the only thing I can get out of this is a really good bat, so he's going to DH all the time.
Right.
That's not what I'm looking to call up. You're usually looking to acquire that guy.
And with
don't try
Schwarbs,
to do that now.
I don't really like the idea of paying a DH 9 figures or whatever it's going to be, but Schwarber's the
cares?
one guy that
He's
I
the
would
one guy.
break the bank for.
Yeah, and listen, you have guys coming off the books. What are you going to do with JT Realmuto? They don't have a catch. Eduardo Tate was never coming up next year, so that was never happening. So he was expendable anyway.
I think you have to bring back JT.
I agree.
Yeah, but now you're keeping that core, and it's an aging old core.
It
now.
is.
It is.
You're doing the same thing you did with the 08 core. Then I think that's what you're trying to stay away from. You don't want to.
One thing that this team does not.
Sure. Do. Well, and I think that's what goes back to we brought up Castellanos at one point, and that's what makes him a guy who's probably going to be on the market in the offseason because of the fact that you really can't afford to take away somebody like Schwarber, who's been the clubhouse leader and delivers so much offense. And then Realmuto, I think, adds a value to the pitching staff for the way he calls a game that you still want that guy behind the plate.
And we haven't even mentioned Ranger.
Ranger's a free
That's
agent.
That's going to be a tough one.
He signed Scott Boras in the offseason to be his agent. I don't think Ranger returns.
No,
I
don't
think Ranger's
either.
out because, remember, you just traded for Jesus Luzardo, another lefty. You gave Christopher Sanchez that awesome contract that's very team-friendly. He's another lefty. You have Painter coming up.
Still
you have
have
Wheeler
and
for 2
Nola.
more years. Nola signed the long-term extension. So those are those are your guys. I think Ranger might be out. JT's the tricky one because of his age, and he's a catcher.
And we talked about it with Schwarber. It's really on Dave Dombrowski for not getting it done before the season. Because now he has an MVP type year, and you got to kind of overpay him.
The thing with Schwarber also is why I don't mind giving him the money in the contract is because he's a DH.
Yeah.
He's not playing the field. It's not like he's in the field every day. He's only DHing. I think that extends his, he's still in his prime, I guess. So I think that extends it for the Phillies and for Kyle Schwarber to be a productive DH for the next couple of years and still have that power. And I know it's a contract year, and guys always kind of elevate in the contract year. But I think because he's the DH, he's not really going to be playing the field. That's why I think you can afford to pay for a guy like Kyle Schwarber. And I think that's why.
But there are a lot of guys that you can look at who played the field in one, even in a previous era, who played the field and then went over to the American League and were able to extend their careers that way. Like I think of Albert Pujols, who, all those years of first base in St. Louis, and then he goes to the Angels, and now you can put him in as a DH as he ages. That extends his playing career longer because he's still able to deliver from the offensive side of things, even if he may not be the best defensive player.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I just brought up the baseball reference comparison.
I saw this floated around,
and Kyle Schwarber. Schwarber leads in home runs, RBIs, on-base percentage, and games played, but he's right there in a lot of the other categories. He's 10 points behind in slug. He's right there in OPS. It's close. Ohtani's, he's unbelievable. What do you have? His 1,000th hit today was a home run.
While he's pitching.
Yeah, while he's pitching. So you got to compete against that as well. But I think Schwarber has definitely entered the race. And if he continues on this pace this power pace, Ryan Howard type of power pace. And I read an article the other day that, he got to work out with Ryan Howard early on in his career. So he kind of knows, and it was in Phillies Nation. I believe it was by Destiny Lugardo from Phillies Nation. That was a very fascinating article because he got to kind of see what Ryan Howard towards the end of his career, he still trained the same way even as he did early on in his career.
For me, it was probably about May-ish that I already was recognizing the home run total was on a pace that at the very least you were looking at 50 for Schwarber this year. How quickly he got to 40 so far.
And these aren't cheapies. I mean,
this
absolutely
this dude's hitting tape measure shots just about every time up there.
The one in Chicago against the White Sox, that ball was unbelievable that he hit.
I'll tell you, I was at the New York Yankees series against the Philadelphia Phillies. That first game, when he hit those 2 home runs, I was in right field down the first base line. I mean, just rockets out of the ballpark. And I brought this up the other day on Nuggets. I want to ask you guys this question.
Okay.
Which is more awesome, the Schwarbomb or the Joan Duran entrance? Which do you get more joy out of watching? The Schwarbomb. I mean, the crack in the bat.
I would say the Schwarbomb.
Yeah, probably.
I got to go Schwarbomb.
Everybody digs a long ball.
You know what's interesting? There was a game that I went to last year. I want to say June-ish again. The Phillies were trailing 3-1. It was one of the games against the Padres. They were trailing 3-1. They come back. They win the game 4-3. They won it off of Suarez, the Padres closer, at least at the time, before the Mason Miller trade this year, obviously. But Schwarber hit a home run to make it 3-2 in the 8th inning, and it was a solo shot. And I think they'd either had a base runner, or it was like something like was leading off an inning, and they had an opportunity the inning before. And I was with my dad at that game. We both just looked at each other like this is it was an absolute Titanic shot. And you admire it, but you're like, damn, if it would have been with somebody else on base, because there it is. He's always got a chance to do that. And then look at the way it goes, and you're just like, of course, look at this bomb.
609-403-0973. Get aboard, chime in before 6 o'clock. Get on down here. Take a picture with the Eagles championship trophy. It's getting busy down here.
Dinner rush.
It's a lot of fun. I might have to hang around. I got to finish my my dinner that I got over here with the crab cakes and everything.
Nicky Crab Cakes over here.
Nicky Crab Cakes. That's how we'll do it. All right, on the other side, Ty Daubert, beat writer from Phillies Nation, covering the Philadelphia Phillies, will join us, and he'll break it all down. He'll calm me down. He'll calm Pete G down. Durso's usually even keeled, so he doesn't need to be calmed down at all. All right, we'll be right back here on the Sports Bash, live from Urie's in Wildwood, 97.3 ESPN. All right, welcome back in. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash alongside Kevin Durso and Pete G. We are live at Urie's in Wildwood. Phillies watch party was earlier today. Another crowd has come in for the dinner hour, I would assume. A lot of fun down here. You got about a half hour left to get your picture with the Eagles championship trophy down here at Urie's in Wildwood. Remember, on those Phillies game days when we're here, you can get 50-cent wings, half-price pizzas, $5 drafts, dollar dogs, and much, much more. You can also host your fantasy football draft party here at Urie. So, fantasy football is right around the corner, but we're going to stick with baseball. And we've been sticking with a lot of baseball today, a lot of outfield talk regarding the Philadelphia Phillies. And now we want to bring on Ty Daubert, Phillies beat writer for PhilliesNation.com. He's going to break it all down for us. Ty, thanks so much for joining the program. Yeah, so Ty, we've been talking about it a lot today. I know the Phillies played against Baltimore, lost 5-1, but we're still talking about the outfield situation and what's going on with it. I know Brandon Marsh has been sensational since the month of April that he had. Harrison Bader they acquire at the trade deadline. There's the Justin Crawford situation in the minor leagues, and August 15th, the whole nine. Talk to me about what this outfield will look like after that August 15th date. What do you expect? Ty, the Justin Crawford angle of this whole situation is fascinating to me with August 15th and, the service time, kind of the manipulation that the Phillies might be trying to do here with Justin's service time. Talk to me about what fans could expect and when possibly could he come up at that 15th deadline or after it, or would he just be coming up in September, and how much playing time would he even get from your perspective? Okay.
Hey, Ty, it's Durso. I wanted to ask a question about the starting rotation here. We've seen Jesus Luzardo and Ranger Suarez. They've had their good starts. They've had their bad starts of late. One of them's going to obviously go to the bullpen at some point when the postseason comes around. So for you, who is the guy that you think is more likely to end up in that spot at the present time?
Hey, Ty, I wanted to talk to you about today's game, 5-1 loss against Baltimore. Still won the series against Detroit over the weekend. But a game like today, and I know, Marshawn was in there and Weston Wilson was playing, but a game like today, is this kind of like a microcosm of this team and as to why these fans can't buy into this team and go all in? I wanted to talk to you about Andrew Painter. Not a good outing last night. Gave up 5 earned runs, got shelled in the first inning. Can we count on Painter at all late in August and September? Because he has really been not having a good go at it at Lehigh. So can we count on Painter here going forward?
Ty Daubert from PhilliesNation.com covers the Phillies for that website. And Ty, I want to talk about the bullpen a little bit. Jose Alvarado is an interesting wrinkle throughout the end of the regular season. He will not be available for the postseason. How do the Phillies work him into the mix? How do you believe they're going to use him? Have they given any indication as to how they can work Jose Alvarado in for the rest of the regular season? Ty Daubert, PhilliesNation.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. Great insight on everything regarding the Philadelphia Phillies. They fall today to the Baltimore Orioles 5-1. They'll be back at it against the Texas Rangers coming up over this weekend as well. So, Ty, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the insight. All right, Ty Daubert, PhilliesNation.com. He is their beat writer, and a lot there. Very interesting thing with Crawford, I thought, about him possibly playing left field as well. I thought that was an interesting nugget that he brought up about the situation with the outfield, Durso.
Yeah, they got to figure out where they want these guys to play, whether it's, like I keep coming back to, it's either Bader and Marsh in left or Bader and Marsh in center, whichever one works best for their situation.
Yeah,
with Crawford.
And Painter, too. I'm very kind
I'm
of down on
concerned.
him, man.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. I know he's coming off the injury, but this guy is untouchable. They wouldn't move him at the deadline. So.
Yep. All right. All things Phils. We talk about it all day. On the other side, we'll wrap everything up, put a bow on today's day at Urie's here in Wildwood. Nick Earnshaw, Kevin Durso, Pete G, live in Wildwood, filling in for Mike Gill. We'll be right back right here on the Sports Bash. Welcome back. We are live at Urie's in Wildwood. We are here for the Phillies watch party today. Phillies fall 5-1 to the Baltimore Orioles. They still took 2 out of 3. It's all good. Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill alongside Kevin Durso and Pete G. We've had a lot of fun today. By the way, the 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by the White Horse RV Center in Williamstown and Galloway. The summer clearance event is on now at White Horse RV Center. White Horse RV, your RV adventure starts here. That's White Horse RV in Williamstown and Galloway. Now I got to rip Durso a little bit, just a little bit. This was hysterical. I did not expect this. He wanted to get a picture with the championship trophy today.
Yes.
And you came in Phillies gear. You're Phillied up today. Phillies watch party. Expected, right, PG?
Yeah.
He goes into the bathroom, changes into a full Super Bowl championship memorabilia gear. If you're watching on the YouTube channel or the X platform at Earnshaw Radio, you can see Durso's got the championship Eagles hat. He did a quick. I mean, it was quick.
It was like Superman.
He
going
just,
into a phone booth and coming out.
It's like he ripped off the Philly shirt and Eagles was right under it. I mean, that is dedication there, Durso. That was fast by you.
I hear you.
And you got the photo.
I got the
with
photo.
Your pops, right?
Yes, because
Awesome.
and then later on one with my wife and daughter who,
They came out a little later. Yeah.
So my
Your daughter has no idea.
She does and doesn't, because here's the thing. My wife told me the entire time we were at my parents, we were watching the game. The entire game, apparently my daughter was doing somersaults inside of my wife's.
She knew.
Oh, okay.
She knew.
So, yeah. So the excitement level was reaching her then, and so I said, see, this is the result of all that yelling and celebration that was going on that night. So
I'll tell you, if you were down here in Urie's and saw that uniform change, I think that was around the 3 o'clock hour.
It was just shy of 4.
Yeah,
I switched over for football at 4.
Right before football at 4. He had the first half and the second half.
It's
like a complete change at halftime.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I've been waiting for a long time, as long as you guys have been doing these watch parties, to come out and see that trophy.
Yeah.
So but it was cool.
I'll tell you what, we had an absolute blast here today. Talked a lot of Phillies. Urie's was fantastic. I am going to get to my crab cake by the end of the show. I will. I promise. We only got a couple minutes left here, but I will eat my crab cake before we get in that ESPN truck and head out. Guys,
I got something for you.
Yeah, you got a nugget? You got another slice before we go?
I got a little slice of pizza because I saw this
pizza.
the other day. The Super Bowl halftime show. This time of the year where rumors start flying.
Who's rumor?
Oh, boy.
Post Malone.
Okay.
Is up there.
Oh.
Really?
Metallica. Wow.
Okay.
Yes. Because I guess the tie-in of Northern California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. And I think Dua Lipa is the other. Or Doja Cat. One of the two.
I would go Post Malone.
You would go, I think it's Post Malone.
I think
too.
Posty.
And this is why I was surprised by Metallica being mentioned, because it's definitely
I know
one
that's
of
probably
these.
up your alley.
I would prefer that over the others, but
Posty. Even though he's a Cowboys fan, that's not a good look.
Yes.
Post
but
Malone is a Cowboys fan.
And look, I will give Post Malone some credit because he put out a bit of a more country themed album. Most people who've been listening for long enough know that that's kind of my speed.
Okay.
It was pretty, it was better than I expected it to be, so I'll give credit there.
Durso,
I think Morgan Wallen is the other one.
Is the other one on
He's
here?
all right.
Oh,
He's not
okay.
bad.
I'm not going to be interested in that then.
Durso, I think we have complete opposite music.
Oh,
tastes.
I bet we do. You, me, and everybody else at the station.
Well, I was talking about Future earlier when we came back for the Nuggets segment, that platter that we had for you guys today. But, yeah, look, we had a lot of fun. Ty Daubert, I thought, gave some great insight. Guys, I think all in all today, the Wheeler news as well.
Yeah.
I think that's concerning. To move him back, I know the MRI came back not great. I mean, it came back okay. I still don't think it's great that, you got to push his start back and he's still stiff back there. I'd keep him out for a couple of starts, in my opinion. I'd rather play it safe than sorry.
Is this something where, if it felt like Painter was closer, if it felt like we were more excited about what he's doing than what it is.
I mean, that's a domino effect for sure.
Well, then this doesn't hurt as much. Like, I feel like the Wheeler news hurts a lot more knowing that you don't feel like you can just go, okay, it's closer to Painter's time, let's bring him into it. Like, and look, I give Taijuan Walker full credit for the way
really
he has
contributed.
pitched.
I mean, for what people wrote about him and said about him
Yeah.
entering the season, He's really contributed.
And Rob Thompson said after the game, he said, quote, tough as nails in regards to Taijuan Walker and how he's been and handled the whole situation. He's been very heavily criticized, left off playoff rosters, et cetera, because of that contract. When you get that big-time contract, it's the Tobias Harris effect.
Yeah.
You have a lot of expectations when you're getting paid a ton of money, and if you're not going to live up to them, you're going to hear the love language of Philadelphia fans and the booing.
Guess what? Trey Turner, all is good.
Yeah.
He's
the
fine.
season
That's
he's
true.
having.
He's
You know
fine.
what
He's been struggling lately, but today he almost hit for the cycle.
Yeah,
Today almost hit for the cycle.
He's the only guy that hit, really.
You know what I found out about Walker that I was surprised about that I didn't realize? Because he gives up a few runs on occasion, things like that, but his control and command has been so much better. Since the start of June, he's only got 4 walks.
Yeah, and his velo's been up. It's been up to where it should be, to say the least. Guys, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
I hope everyone enjoyed listening today. Thank you, everyone who texted in, who tuned in, filling in for Mike Gill as he is traveling the world on vacation. Pete G, thank you, on-site producer.
Nuggets, we'll do it again on Monday.
We'll do it again Monday. Durso, thanks for stopping out, dude.
Absolutely, guys. My pleasure.
Yeah, and, Durso went barely any hockey today, which was crazy. It was awesome.
Well, during the breaks, he was
He was going hockeyed up. He was fired up. He's ready for the new season. Thanks so much to Josh and Alex back at the studio. Tomorrow, Josh will have you for the 4 hours. I will be back with Josh on Friday. It'll be a lot of fun. And then me and Pete G on Monday at Ocean Casino Resort. Thank you so much for tuning in. Talk to you soon.